woken up, and it's Friday, so that would say it's the day of preparation, and the day of preparation is the day before the Sabbath. So when the sun goes down, the Sabbath comes around. So I just had a quick coffee thing and all that, and apparently I have a hole in my head or something like that. Anyway, so in regards of Alberto Rivera, I'm still looking, I've been looking into this, years in some sense, on and off, because it annoys me. The thing is, I feel like I'm getting into this spiral, in regards of just going this and that and all that, and, in some sense, misusing my time where I could use it other places. But again, it might, I'm trying to figure out who is lying and who is telling the truth, right? And, I'm pretty, when I'm getting to the point when I find out who is lying to me, I get kind of upset, I hate lie, just why would you lie about things to discredit a man and so forward? And again, I think it could be very much the case in regards of Alberto Rivera that they try to discredit him on so many levels. And it's, even those that actually stands against the Roman Catholic Church. And this is, I found out, I had this Catholic guy that I've been talking to, trying to get him out of this system. For example, in regards of Walter Martin and the other guy, what was it called? That Alberto actually took contact to both of these guys, and this, yeah. And then we had the Lutheran, so-called Lutheran priest, and again, the Roman Catholic, and I'm not sure what the right word is. I guess false information and all that to get out there and commit misinformation. There's a word for it. I've heard something that they have the most, the top system in the world for these things, which wouldn't be a surprise. That the Roman Catholic Church, had much more. They knew more than these other agencies. In any case, all roads leads to Rome. But then you find, I found out that this guy that is also against Roman Catholicism, sadly on his seemingly last days. Sadly, I found out pretty too late, and I would have liked to call this guy, but apparently he's having issues with his speech and all that, and he is apparently dying the first death. I'm still not sure if they promote the doctrine of that in regards of closing the gap in regards of Roman Catholics and the Mohammedans. Because if they actually knew that we're going directly down into the earth, awaiting resurrection, then it's kind of set us apart from, in regards of ecumenical stuff and all of that. And being resurrected to the everlasting life, which, by the way, have a problem if you calculate from Friday to Sunday. But anyway, that's another. Of course, not only that, you have problems if you calculate backwards, but people don't read the so-called Old Testament, so they don't find out there's an issue there as well. So in regards to being executed on a Friday, which one of the arguments is that the Sabbath is, on Saturday, apparently by a priest that actually usually, defend these things, and others should probably know that if they read the so-called Old Testament, the scriptures, the law, of Jehovah and so forward, well, that actually there's another, Sabbath. Actually, there's 7 other Sabbaths than the weekly Sabbath, and these are yearly Sabbaths. Churches or the congregations in this world, most of them are promoting Christmas, Easter, Halloween, and all the other pagan crazy daisy things instead of actually keeping to the Bible. So how would we know, right? Because we have inherited lies from our forefathers, and no one seems to want to change to the truth. Look, biblical, but anyway. And now we are incorporated the Mohammedans religions. Yes, but you see, if you're trying to talk about, those festivals and set apart days of the Bible, you know what you get? You're Judaizer. Judaizer, such a radical extremist Judaizer. Filthy Judaizer. Christ Mass or one of the Mohammedans, different, or whatever. No, he kept to the Bible in regards of the law of Moses and so forth. And now I'm straying from the topic. Sorry about that. So I'm trying to find this guy. This guy is called, and it's very sad to see that he's apparently leaving. He apparently is sick and close. Roman Catholic in Denmark, and of course you have all the fallacies that you usually hit into. Nothing new under the sky. It's just the same. It's the same thing you hit into pretty much. You hit a lot of the same things. That's for sure. It's like the Jews as well. And I found out where the corruptions of the Jews were coming from. You sit on the YouTube or whatever, and you talk to Jews or Facebook or whatever you are talking to, because for example, one of the things, they have a way of not they have this doctrine of the name of God, and they think the titles are the name of God, and they put like a line in it. What is it called? Instead, anyway, and they have other things that so even if they haven't told you that they are a Jew, you might, I guess it's the same thing with do we have that in the Bible anywhere? That every time we say a name like Moses or something like that, or Abraham or whatever, you need to, okay. Anyway, I don't think there's anything in the Bible that is going into these nutcase things. So, I was talking to this Roman Catholic in Denmark, which hopefully gets out of this wicked system. But he was turning me to sources in regards of this. So, well, then again, when you look at Alberto Rivera's material, the things that I read in the beginning when I first got his, I couldn't verify what he said. I, just went over my head. A lot of the things that he told, I have no idea of. I didn't know anything in regards to Roman Catholicism, because I'm not in Denmark, we don't grow up with Roman Catholicism, because that's not, we are pretty much a sort of, the Danish people still believe that this is a Danish country. Well, if that is the case, maybe we should wake up and begin doing some things in regards of it, in regards of doing something about it. Just like 65% or something like that still thinks it's a Christian country, yet 82% of the Danish people believe in satanic pagan evolution. Like it's the truth of truth. I was one of them. We are the second country in the world that believe in this. Before Darwin existed and so forward, as far as I can see, you can follow it to India. But anyway, of course, it has somewhat evolved, in regards of many, many, many more years than, as I understand it, that the Indian thing. I think they have like 2 million years or something like that, which is still much more than 6,000 years according to the Bible, around 6,000 years. But anyway, that's another topic and all that. I had something in regards of the nations of the world, looking into, when you have the Bible, you have these divisions of the nations and all that. And he was one of the guys that have made deep research into that. And he also had this in regards of evolution. And it was just pretty good, It's a wonderful lecture where he had just followed it, and sadly, I haven't been able to find out who the guy was, and but hey, hopefully at some point in the future I'll hit into it. That's the thing. I should probably, download the things and all that, because when you download the things, issues in regards of computer things and all that, and there's a lot of things going on in these days. Anyway, I think the sound actually many times is the same for the videos, so I should probably check that. But I think from YouTube that most of the videos is actually the same sound bite that is used. And in regards, if the quality of the video is not really needed, then in any case, going back to this letter, also translated into Danish, but the original was in English. And that was a letter from Richard Bennett. I'm not sure which year it is from and all that, but I was thinking, okay, that's interesting that, Richard Bennett was actually against, or is against. Again, I would really like to talk to him before he dies, and but it doesn't look good according to the Facebook Roman Catholic Church. He's a former Roman Catholic and so forward, and but he's discounting Alberto Rivera as a priest and so forward, and I was like, okay, and I was just wondering why. And let's see, I have the English. I posted. I was thinking, okay, is this and the Facebook? So I went to the Facebook. Where they are, having all the, what shall we say, anti-Catholic material and, Catholic bashing and so forward, whatever, what else, the Roman papists have a way of, using these words to discount people as, that. But anyway, we have to remember in regards to, I have it someplace. I just posted it not long ago in regards to the Jesuit oath. I'm writing too much. When I write, and just the day afterwards, it's like, where did it go? And of course, Facebook doesn't really help in regards of getting back to but this is like a testimony on Alberto Rivera from Bishop. I have one with, okay, that's actually me writing here. Testimony on Alberto Rivera from Bishop. I have one with Alberto's wife. I need to see in full as well, and that's on my mobile. I still haven't seen it totally in full. Nice to see more info coming out so I can look deeper into it. And again, Alberto also had Spanish. That was his original language. Like he's, free, and just, it's just, he looks really Christian, It's just, he looks like he's actually is what he says he is, but anyway, but that, of course, in the future, we will get more tools to actually dig into this. And I still wonder why there isn't a homepage with all of the things to go into, where's his old ministry gone, They should still have a lot of information somewhere, so we can go into all of the things and find nitpick everything that we can find and see in that. And I think one will learn a lot. So I think it will be somewhat hard to actually, I don't know. Anyway, I'm still looking into it. Your so-called holy religion of the Roman Catholic faith and the so-called, Pope and so forward, you are allowed to really viciously attack your own system and yet still be a Roman Catholic. This is the wolves in sheep clothing. We have to be aware of that. So when you get into this, we have to be aware that, and try to discredit whoever comes at that point. This would be the greatest enemies of this system, So why wouldn't we expect that this actually to be, to be the case? Anyway, in regards to Tuesday, September the 21st, 2006, Greg talks to former Catholic Bishop Garrett Balfour, who claims the Jesuit Balfour verifies the validity of the late so-called father, Alberto Rivera, a staunch Jesuit critic with Eric Phelps. So here we have Eric Phelps. I think the other information I got is actually to Eric Phelps, but it's only have the first name, Eric. So I'm not sure, and it's talking to Eric and all that and so forth. Anyway, so that's an interesting interview with a former Catholic thing, in regards of the hat and in regards of, the clothing and whatever and so forward, and goes into all these things. You see, the problem with these things, when you miscredit these guys and you look into the things and you find out things are true, that they actually told the truth, and you have Roman Catholics miscrediting these guys, these people, that's just, who are you going to trust then? Are you going to trust those that miscredit the guy that is reject that as least. Then the question is, if the guy that tells the truth that you find out actually have told the truth, that, information that you have no idea of, that you didn't know, that is just going right through over your head because you're not a Roman Catholic, and exposing this system and finding out that these things that he actually says is true, yet you have the Roman Catholics just bashing him and saying, yeah, it's not true and he's a fraud and this and that. Well, at least you can pretty much reject, what's it called, clean... but at least if you can verify some of the things that he's saying, then, we are going to trust then. At least there's much more valid verifications or weight in regards to this guy than the guys that just says, oh, he's just a fraud. Well, again, and they're attacking so it seems like they're just attacking the character in some sense. Oh, he was never a bishop or this and that, and we haven't any proof and that and so forth. Okay, system in regards of, what is it called, intelligence? No, not intelligence service, I think, but that was another thing, by the way. But in regards of, you don't think they could remove, information about, anyway, and of course they have Satan to help them in these things, why do I have the Jesuit oath thing? Has looked up a huge amount, and that's the thing, we have a lot of information that we don't know anything about. Where's my oath? Jesuit oath. I can't have posted that much, not to at least I'll post it to the other guys so I'll be able to find it very quickly again, so it's not let's try to search Jesuit oath. This is just on the fly here, but let's see here, google.com, yep. And of course, then, people can see how to find it, I guess, as well, let's see here, Jesuit oath. I do wonder where it is on the Facebook, but again, it's probably somewhere, but there we go, finding. But they will discredit that as well. They will discredit everything. And the thing is, it's like it's like to see the same thing in regards to the Jews, where I found out in regards to Jerusalem, I was invited by this Jew to this so-called rabbi, and of course we shouldn't call anyone rabbi than Jesus Christ. He is our teacher, our God, our Lord, our Master, and so forward. But I pretty much found out where these lies and deceptions or these weird doctrines came from. They're coming to, I love Jews, but, so I think that in regards of, these rabies as well. Now, so I'm again, I've been called an anti-Semit, what is called you get called all the things when you are pretty much not. I love Jews. For you have been taught to act the dissembler among Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic, and to be a spy even among your own brethren, to believe no man, to trust no man, among the reformers to be a reformer, among the Huguenots to be a Huguenot, among the Calvinists to be a Calvinist, among other Protestants generally to be a Protestant. Do you get the idea of this? These guys are deceivers, wolves in sheep clothing. Anyway, and Alberto Rivera was talking about that they have pretty much infiltrated everything. And look what is going on in the world. Was Alberto talking the truth? Look, in Denmark, we don't have anyone nearly speaking against the Antichrist or the so-called Pope. We don't have anyone talking about, talking against the Roman Catholic system, insane institution, We don't have any, it's like, maybe they have been infiltrated. Listen to if I talk to like more of these priests, I always learn something from talking to them, even if they are, totally wrong in regards to, but you still learn something from them, how far they have, that something is terrible wrong. But anyway, so let's see, and it's just like they're trying to, they just can't talk out of their bag of the, just talk like it's just deceptive. It's just insane. This anyway. So so among the Calvinists, to be a Calvinist, among other Protestants, generally to be a Protestant, and obtaining their confidence, to seek even to preach from the pulpits. You think they might be preaching in your pulpits, huh? This is an oath that is very old, in regards of. So anyway, and to denounce with all the vehemence in your nature our holy religion. Which religion do you think they're talking about? Well, the filthy Roman Catholic, pagan insanity institution. That's what they are talking about. And the Pope, the Antichrist, the triune tyrant, and so forward, many titles for this guy. Any case, and that was another thing. What was that? I had something in regards of denounce with all the vehemence in your nature our holy religions and the Pope. That was something popping up in my head. I lost it. Sorry about that. Some information that I was thinking about. Anyway, huge amount of things out there, right? Our holy religion and the Pope. Holy religion. Everything is holy with this organization, apparently. I would, if you put an U and an N in front of it, you got it. Yeah. Unholy religion and the unholy faker. That's what he is. Anyway. And even to descend so low as to become a Jew among the Jews, that you might be enabled to gather together all information for the benefit of your order as a faithful soldier of the so-called Pope. So anyway, do you get the idea of this? Of course, they will say, that's just that old. It's not this fake and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but when you get all the puzzle pieces together, you find out it's actually making total sense. So anyway, and they have removed Protestant material and have really been doing that apparently on a large scale because, what does the Protestants know about protesting anymore? And that the Protestants was actually protesting. And who was they protesting against? Well, this wicked system and the Antichrist. We actually have there's another page in regards of, that was actually very interesting as well. You see, there's so much about, then she mastering the, here we have the Mrs. Alberto Rivera, and she also talks, it's little, the material is old, and it's, the sound is not that good. I had a video, maybe I closed it down, that was actually, what was it talking about? I have to remember. But it actually had some good information in the description here. But where did I put that? Maybe I have it on my mobile. 55. In the Bible, you usually have your name of your father. But I do wonder in regards of being a child of God, if that would actually... so I have two things that is in a little conflict of this, because I know we actually, that when we are into the Bible, we still had the James and from Japan and all that. I talked to this guy and I don't know, but I found out that James and the other guy was actually, even if they were attacking the Roman Catholic system and coming out with true information, that they were actually they moved the focus onto the Jews. And I'm like, no, you're not going to do that with me, That's the thing. They're always trying to get to the Jews. They're pointing to the Jews instead of the Roman Catholic Church. So again, it seems like you have this, I don't know if but you have to be aware that there are wolves in sheep clothing. So this is the thing. When you get into this, they're always the Jews being the this and that and all that, but just be aware it's not the Jews that control. If you read the Bible, it's not the Jews. It's not the Jews. The fourth beast is not Jewish. The fourth beast is Roman. Read the book of Daniel. Study the book of Daniel. Study the book of Revelation. Soldiers. Sadly, I'm not sure where I had it. And now, of course, I don't have an account on YouTube because they kicked me out, so I can't even go back and see what I have seen. I don't know if I actually posted that thing on my Facebook. I can't even remember what the video was about. My brain is there's so many balls up in the air at the same time, and I have a hard time actually. Oh yeah, I think it actually was the thing with Jimmy Swaggart. But Jimmy Swaggart, I don't know who this. And I haven't looked. I've just seen that he's under attack in regards of Roman Catholic and all that in 1984, the Roman year in regards of the Julian Gregorian sun calendar, all that I actually was born in. I do really wonder why he couldn't answer, but underneath this video, there's a lot in regards of the Antichrist and so forward in regards of let's see. What it says. No wonder Jimmy Swaggart was so powerful before he fell. So powerful. I don't know, has he died or whatever, or has he fallen to that system? I don't know. Again, I don't know. Again, the video where he's under attack. He's really under attack. And again, we have to be aware there's wolves in sheep clothing, and they're using this to, you have to remember that the wolves have to get some credit from the Protestants, so they are believed to be a Protestant, that they are believed to be so they have to give some information before they begin to, there wouldn't be any deceptive thing about it, He was, if he's just telling lies, and more lies, that would be easy discredited. And that's one of the things that I see with Satan, that he mixes truth with lies. That seems to be the most effective tool anyway. So here we have been instantly hanged. So, okay. So I don't know if again, when he's attacked here, every single Protestant, in regards of history, I think knew who the whore was and who the Antichrist was, because we had some really television things and games and all that. Well, they had different kinds, but anyway, we have a lot of entertainment and keeping us occupied. Many hundreds and thousands of hours. Never ever actually, reading the Bible and finding out what is actually in it. Anyway, the book just stands on the shelf in many homes. We should be ashamed. We should utterly be ashamed. For the 1,000 years and more, Baptist, Protestant, and fundamentalists have identified Rome with the harlot of Revelation 17. Consider these few examples. Now, in regards of the predestination, I don't know about that. But in any case, let's see here. You can know, here. At the end of the 9th century, Tergantus, Bishop of Treves, called the Pope Antichrist, yea, a wolf, and Rome, Babylon. This is from the Martyr's Mirror, 5th English edition, page 240. And by the way, Martyr's Mirror is one of the books that I would like to read at some point. But that is, I think it's from the Anabaptist, really bloody books or something, Anyway, I think it was an Anabaptist book, but anyway, I might be wrong, but, trying the best that I can in regards of, my memory as just, Anyway, in the 10th century, Arnulfus, Bishop of Orleans, in a full council of Reims or something like that. That was something else that he talked about this... Oh yeah, they're really trying to discredit this guy, this Jimmy Swaggart, in regards to saying the Roman Catholic guy is just really there for shooting him down, and he's saying, why is your interpretation the true one and this and that, like he's the single guy that points to the Roman Catholic the great whore of Revelation is, and in regards to the beast, and Jimmy Swaggart says, I don't know, and I'm like, how couldn't you know? How couldn't you know if you, so that's I don't know. That's just weird to me that a guy that absolutely says that the Roman Catholic Church is not Christian wouldn't know who the whole history, just should be very clear. Anyway, and that's one of the things that point in that direction that actually exposes this filthy system. So you have the book of Daniel, then you have the book of Revelation exposing this system on so many levels, and that's the thing that actually guides you in that direction. Well, of course, you could follow the... They could have, again, I guess when you have the satanic powers in your, to help you and so forward, I guess, and so if you take the Bible and the history and just, the true history, you get anyway, it just all fit, So here we have in the 11th century Berenger of Trenses, so that would be the Waldenses, I would guess, and the Albigenses, 1838, page 159. And it goes on and on and on in regards to different sources. And you can find a lot of sources. It's like, so when they try to miscredit this guy, and again, I don't know the story of the guy, is sending wolves in sheep clothing, looking like the true thing, and yet, just have to go to the Jesuit oath and really chew it up and understand that this is happening. This is not something like, this is not a fairy tale or whatever. This is something that they do. And we have other stories that, exposes that and talks about this. And you can just get all the pieces together. And what not true. When you get all the puzzle pieces together, it just makes sense that these things are true. You get the ideas that, it makes an image. And that image, even if some account might be put out there, so they can make things that you can put up to destroy, to miscredit the whole idea. These guys are very, very slick. The system, the Satan, is a very deceptive, very slick, deceptive. You should not underestimate Satan. I think a lot of Christians do exactly underestimate him. A lot of Christians believe that, just because they, things, spiritual things and all that, and that's not to say that it was from God, And actually, in regards to Martin Luther, it's actually in regards to these, these things that they see, the Mary abrogate, what is it called? I can't remember what they're calling you and all that. Actually, Luther talks about that as well in regards to being from the devil. And that the mass is the utmost abomination, of the devil and so forward. So even if Luther still had issues with the cookie Jesus and all that, he tried to make up his own in regards to consubstantiation. Well, he absolutely did understand in regard, of course, but it seems like Melanchthon believed that it was only a cookie, that it, the bread only becomes the, it's symbolic, It seems like Melanchthon understood, and he was a close colleague to Martin Luther, that he believed that it was only symbolic. Zwingli believed it was only symbolic. Andreas Karlstadt believed it was only symbolic. Melanchthon, as far as I know, he might also have known Luther. I'm not sure about that, but in any case, and including myself reading the Bible, the New Testament, because I read the New Testament before I got into all this doctrine, that they had they used so much energy about it. I'm like, why are you using so much energy about this doctrine? It's pretty clear. It's symbolic. I think Wycliffe as well. That's a movie about interesting where he anyway. In any case, it's symbolic. We break the bread and drink the wine because to remember what Jesus Christ did once and for all for us in the past, like nearly 2,000 years ago. And that's the thing with the Roman Catholic Church. Again and again and again and again, a perpetual, continual sacrifice for the dead and the living. It's outrageous. And they are allowed to worship the cookie because they believe the cookie becomes Jesus in body, flesh, sinews, and soul, and so forward. Do you get that? And that's the thing when you read Alberto, for example. You have all these people just miscrediting him and saying, he's a fraud and this and that and all that. Well, look at the information that he's actually telling, and you find out this is true, and 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 this is true. I was like, And then there's the things that I can verify, and some of the things that looks to go in that direction. Who knows if it's a deception on a deception, These guys are really, really, really good. So, I see issues with Walter Martin, and there's a lot of truth in regards of these different things and all that. But, in regards to the book of the cult, he's not talking about the Roman Catholic Church. There's no chapter in regards to the Roman Catholic. Well, it seems like he's in bed with the whore, So that's curious. And then when they say that he never made anything against the Roman, wrote against the Roman Catholic Church and all that, and that's untrue, because I have the evidence that he was in the beginning. Again, the guy has to have now, and I have evidence from one of the old books of the cult where it actually is told that he's, other material of Walter Martin, and it's just there. But in the newer versions, it's just removed. Now, there's a lot of other sources from him, but that single booklet is removed. That was true. I don't have any, why wouldn't it be true? It's something that people could check up, and verify if Alberto was talking the truth and so forth. But it's not something I've looked into. But the thing is that when the Roman Catholics are just saying, oh, he's a fraud and this and that, getting censored, they're not allowed in the bookshelves and all that. And then it's just out in the open that you can find, one of the, a Catholic main page that this Catholic guy I was talking to also used in regards to verifying what he needs to believe in and all that. One of the questions is, I went into this. Yeah, what should you do? Well, maybe not go into a Protestant bookstore in the first place if you don't want any Roman Catholic, anti-Roman Catholic material, But anyway, very interesting, because the answer is, if you find some of these materials and all that and this and that, the horror of going into a Protestant bookstore. Protestant! That's the idea of why it's called Protestant bookstore. And, but you see the way, and this is just out in the public. This is not even in the hidden or something like that. So you can see the outer service, of Catholic. It seems it had been edited on one page because the other page it had more information, and with three sources of anti-Catholic material that they, that if any of the bookstores or whatever have this, or these three kinds of material, in regards of Dave Hunt, who writes The Woman Riding the Beast. But that's not to say that one have to discredit all information. If, again, it's a mingle with wolves in sheep clothing and wolf and all that. And we will have to take care, and I'm still trying to be better at discerning and the thing. But the problem is that, people making a mistake is not necessarily a wolf, we all make mistakes, and all the best to their ability to gain truth. They had lost a lot of truth at that point. They're regaining truth. So yeah, they have some issues here and there, absolutely. But that is not to say that you discount everything that they, you have to be sort out what is and what is not. Anyway, so credit him in regards of, him not telling he has videos of what is going on in Rome and showing exposing the system, and he has all his experience behind him. And this guy is now dead, but he is, he's now sleeping, but he is, he has all his experience behind him, and he wrote a lot of books as well. But anyway, and then another thing that they were in regards there was a document. What they say, and then they try to miscredit the video that it was taken out of context and this and that in regards to the priest, for example, and the priest is responding and said he was lured into, he thought it was like a more ecumenical guy that came to interview him. Already there, he's pretty much saying, you already see the hints of this in regards to the ecumenical of saying that he's taking things to this documentary out of context and all that, that it's a longer interview. I do understand it's a longer interview, and I would have no problem with actually being released, and I think that might actually have been damaging to this priest. So, but if he wants that out, I would, someone should, someone at some place should have this original interview and just put it out there, right? Let's hear it all. Hindu religion, I think it is, and finding many of the same things in regards of Hinduism and the faith of Jesus and all that, and break. Anyway, And in regards to the cookie Jesus, we see, but the priest says there is taken out. But of course, he has to do some damage control. That's what so that's what the three main sources. And that's the thing. Can you learn anything from Roman Catholics? Absolutely. And that's, I've heard Roman Catholics say to me, oh, this is Roman Catholic sources. You can't use that. And why can't I use that? In regards of history, where your organization has pretty much wiped out a huge amount of information from the true Christians. Just give me a break. Satan is using and that's the thing. Alberto Rivera is actually exposing a lot of these things. He's saying that, they use these tricks. And they are. He's in regards of, he's showing these tricks. And as gullible as I was in the beginning, I reading it, this one thing. Another thing is to experience. In regards of Walter Martin, there was some issues, absolutely, that I found. There's just popping up one issue after another. And then, of course, in regards to the other guy that also is used, that is so-called Protestant as well, curious. That actually seems to have some Roman Catholic connection and so forward. And there were, I was two things that just struck me as to these guys. So if he was actually, if he actually had these, why wouldn't they just talk to him? The guy tried to take, hello, and I'm going to record this and all that, and let's have it all out, Alberto wanted it on record, and just, hey, I can sell the tapes and all that, right? Showing, and that's one interview with Alberto Rivera that I do wonder. But I do see the issue in regards of this is a so-called Lutheran priest or whatever. He comes to Alberto and he says he wants to directly talk to him and all that. And this guy, haven't even read his book, is Alberto for real, which I should as well do, which I haven't done yet. I've just read all the cartoons and all that. And I should really read the other thing and to see it from that side. But this guy comes directly to interview the guy. And he begins to ask questions that Alberto says, well, these questions, or this question, I can't remember if it's multiple or something, but he points out, these are already answered in this book, Haven't you read it? And this guy says, no, I haven't read it. But, it's just, if you're coming to interview a guy as a priest, and concerned about his things, and he tries to miscredit Alberto by saying, oh, it's just cartoons, I don't read cartoons and all that as well. And it's like, I don't get my information from cartoons. It's just, what is that for an argument, Are you telling that cartoons can't have truth? Of course, we have huge amount of cartoons out there that is just vanity and empty air, in regards to, Donald Duck and all that. Did I learn anything from reading, these books of Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse and all that when I was younger? I don't remember a single thing that I actually was taught in regards to these things, It was just for amusement and I guess learning to read. Well, I don't remember any doctrine or anything that I actually learned from reading these books besides a story of, a story and a story and a story and a story and so forward. I don't know. But anyway, but he's like eluding, I think that's the right English word, eluding that, reading cartoons can't really, I can't, I don't get my information from cartoons, I was like, and then Alberto goes in that he has a huge amount of pages in regards to every single cartoon. I don't know about that. Again, I just, I can't verify it. That's the thing. I can't verify anything of that. But if you're making a cartoon, I guess you would make some work behind this, to actually get it all together, right? And get the information concentrated so you can get it out to a cartoon, for example. So it wouldn't be totally I guess it wouldn't be a totally, but I don't think we have the information out there. And again, that's the thing. I would like to see everything that Alberto fixed in his years, but I'm sure the Roman Catholic Church wouldn't be that. And that's funny, right? Because if it's just all fake and fraud and all that, why wouldn't the Roman Catholic Church just let it go? Let's see it. Any case. So again, the ministry of Alberto Rivera, I do wonder where it is in our days. It seems like his wife must have continued the ministry afterwards, and I guess I could talk to, I could get the, try to get in contact with some people in regards of that, and order the book of Is Alberto for Real, because I'm really getting kind of, I guess I'm misusing a lot of time on it, but again, if Alberto is for real, that's pretty much a very important thing as well, because there's so many liars out there, and if you find out that he's actually spilling out, the truth, and he's truthfully actually, a former Jesuit and all that, that actually opens up the door to you to discerning the agents of Rome in regards of attacking him, because there's huge amount of attacks from different sides. That's for sure. So anyway, yeah. So I don't know. I think I got on a thread that was again, it's just, when you see the Roman Catholics lying to you all the time, and they're lying, and they're, going astray in regards of, and then you see Alberto telling the truth again and again and again. Anyway, that was an interview. So the Lutheran comes with this interview, and it's, I think Alberto could really have handled it a lot better. But I do understand, I talked to one guy, and he was saying, well, it's Alberto, it's hard to, it's only the voice that you hear, so you don't really know what was going on in regards of images and so forward. But, this guy is just already trying to discredit Alberto in the beginning, like, in regards of, I don't read cartoons for my information and this and that, and already there, why would you I don't read cartoons to get information, I read books, already they're trying to discredit, just showing that it doesn't sound like he actually had read the cartoons or the book in regards of Is Alberto for Real. And I need to re-listen to it, but I'm getting, and if you're going to interview a guy, why wouldn't you look into the information, Are you just then going just by hearsay? This Alberto is a fraud and all that, whatever and this and that. Wouldn't you investigate a little before you actually just goes to the guy, or actually read his rebuttal in regards of Is Alberto for Real and so forward? I think that's fair before you go and interview the guy, that's just, and then start out saying, in regards to the cartoons, I don't read cartoons, just you see these small hints where they try to, where this guy just tries to discredit him, already laying the line. And maybe Alberto was more discernful than I am, because he was, he would be knowing if he's telling the truth or not, right? Because that's Alberto, so he's knowing if he's deceptive or not. And if he knows he's truthfully true, then of course he would have a more of a, more discernment about what actually is going on and what is not going on and so forward. Because when you see him in other interviews where people are actually just asking him about questions, he's pretty, he's just, okay, so he's answering these things. And it's not like he's just needing to think about a good lie or something like that. He's just answering like he, it's like natural to him. So that's interesting as well. So again, he might have actually discerned that there was something wrong with this guy, and they're going into in regards of, it seems like the Lutheran guy doesn't even know his own background history about the Lutheran Church and all that, and the whole of Revelation and the beast and so forward, and it seems like it seems like Alberto is actually going into that as well, and what is it called? It's called when just going in there and tick, you should know about these things, something like that. Just but again, on a level where in the beginning where I'm just begin to discern more and more again what is actually anyway. And in any case, so I found out that this going back to the Danish Roman Catholic guy. It was just wonderful, by the way. I met this guy on a forum, and it's a long time, so I haven't really, I don't really like, I'm sometimes I just feel like I'm misusing my time talking to these guys. But in the end, you also get their perspective sometimes when they are honest and about things and so forward. But you still have to be careful of their leaven. But anyway, you get better and better to actually, in any case. So he was sending this Danish article, and this Danish article is trying to discount Alberto Rivera again. And then it uses a source that is in regards to this Bennett guy, this which seems to be on his last days at the moment. He's called Richard Bennett, and he has really also gone against the Roman Catholic institution and exposed the system. I haven't really looked that much into his material, but that's in any case. I have had in regards of anti-Catholic material, that has not been a guide that I've seen that much about. But I know, I have him on Facebook and all that. I know he's out there in regards to the Berean beacon and all that. And, I haven't really gone into study in regards of investigating into more of if there's more things that might be, but according to this, like as of 3 days ago, Richards was very weak and very hard to understand. Speaking to his wife Lynn, she is very concerned that Richards is nearing his last days. Hospice is now helping in the home. Richards has lost all appetite and is very weak and frail. It is now time to pray as he seems to be ready and wanting to go home with the Lord. Now, in regards of going home with the Lord, I do wonder if they're actually promoting the doctrine of going directly to heaven. Now, Chick Publication is also promoting this doctrine. So again, I'm trying to figure out what is going on in regards to, because I don't see Christians going to heaven when they die. And this is a doctrine that is very popular out there. I don't see it in the Bible in regards of history and so forward. You can just look at Justin Martyr, which I think actually the Roman Catholics accepts, as I understand it. But Justin Martyr talking about if you meet someone that says they're Christians and they say they believe they're going directly to heaven when they die, he says, don't even believe they're Christians, That's a really hard, I'm not taking it word for word, it's just from memory and all that. So, but I can find the quote and all that. So that's just one quotation from the past, and that's from the 2nd century or something like that, that Justin Martyr was around. So he was in the earlier times. And then we have another letter from Asia Minor where we know they had a lot of truth, also talking about this, resurrection, that, we have these saints that is died and are sleeping and they await the resurrection. He's not saying they're going to heaven or they're awaiting the resurrection, So anyway. So I do wonder if that, but that's the problem. I don't know how Alberto actually, I don't remember if Alberto was actually talking about that doctrine. But again, I'll have to comb the thing. Again, I think I can learn a lot of things just by reading Alberto's material and all that. But I do have, when I had the Chick Publications, cartoons and all that, I was severely attacked, spiritual. I really had... I was afraid I was cursing myself having these cartoons because there is a lot of occult symbols in these cartoons, and being a former occultist, being in Satan's candy store, I knew a lot of these things, and there was a lot of truth in the cartoons for sure. In regards to these, that was some of these Christian sources exposing these occult things and Hinduism and Buddhism. And you have you have this triad in some sense. You have Dave Hunt, and then you have a woman that's dead. As Dave Hunt is sleeping, and you had a woman as well that died a couple of years ago. That had lived in India, so she knew firsthand experience on this, and she was exposing this system as well on so many levels. And of course, and there was another witch that has also had come out and all. But anyway, these three guys had had a lot of truth and showing a former person that had been into exposing a lot of the things, and that was some of the material that I was looking into at helping me actually get out of Satan's candy store. Of course, the Bible as well, and the Gospels and so forth, or the Gospel of Jesus Christ, the 4 books of the Gospel. It's one Gospel. It's 4 books about one Gospel. Okay. Anyway. So, when we call it the Gospels, that seems kind of because there's only one Gospel. And there are 4 books about the gospel. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Any case. Yeah. So in regards of, I don't know if if this ministry is actually promoting. I know Chick Publications is promoting this heaven hell doctrine, and again, I don't think it's biblical. It's, as far as I know, it actually stems from paganism. So again, not a big surprise, and the Mohammedans have somewhat of the same of heaven hell, and the Roman Catholics they just have purgatory as well, and they have a place for the children as well. Well, in regard, I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, whatever, all this bullshit, that's pretty much what it is, bullshit. Just read the Bible, research the Bible, and again, in regards to the King James Version, in regards of the word Sheol in Hebrew, which when you look at the Greek, it's Hades, that's equivalent to Hades in Greek. Well, there are some issues in regards to the translation of the King James Version in regards to that word and Gehenna and so forward. So just be careful, because people have a way of mixing these two things together, because they look behind the words of hell and find out what word is actually used, and use a Bible program. The King James Version have where you have Strong's, so you can see what is, you don't even need to know Hebrew or Greek. There's a lot of help tools, and you have free biblical programs. I guess that's another topic, but in any case, you can verify it very quickly for yourself. Well, quickly, I guess. But anyway, you see in the book of Revelation that the realm of death is cast into the lake of fire. These two entities are two different things. And the problem is that Christians these days tend to mix them together, and the King James Version is not helping on this doctrine. So just be aware of that. The King James Version is not something that was sent down from God in heaven to Moses, okay? It has its own issues, It's not to say that it's a bad translation, but it has its own, it's a translation. Every single translation that's out there will lose some information from the original language. That's just how it is, But in any case, anyway, that's another topic. But anyway, that's and then you look at history as well. And in regards to the other papers I got from the ministry of Richard, because I asked them, oh yeah, by the way, okay, well, let's move on. It is now time to pray as he seems to be ready and wanting to go home with the Lord. And again, that just seems like you can see other people in the thing on Facebook that says in regards of, let's see, because you meet people that believes that when, for example, their wife had died, oh, she's now in heaven with the Lord and all that, and sometimes I remember once in Jerusalem, I was sitting on the Abraham hostel, and this older guy said, "Oh yeah, but my wife died, but she's now in heaven with the." And at that point, sometimes I didn't have the energy at that point to take up the fight in some sense. The problem is, if you have a T-shirt saying Jesus is God Almighty, expect. I don't know if it actually was the first time or the second time, but at that point, I just wasn't in the to tell him, well, any case. But people use it as a comfort that, oh yeah, my wife has died, she's now in heaven and so forward. Well, no, your wife is sleeping and awaiting the resurrection, Anyway, here we go. Marilyn Shepard talking here. Praying for peace and comfort as Richard prepares to step into the presence of his Savior and Lord Jesus. May God overwhelm Lynn with his peace. Not directly saying that he's going to heaven, but I can just, I've just actually made a quote on it on my own Facebook in regards to this doctrine. So maybe I'll post it and see the reactions from people, because that will, if I put truth in there, I will see the response. If people will just viciously attack me and then thereby show themselves what they actually believe very clearly. Of course, that's one of the ways to know what people actually believe and so forward. Just putting truth out there and seeing the response. But yeah, of course, it's very sad that he is on his last days. And I would have liked to talk to him. Okay, that's 149 quotes and all that. So I'll guess if I could go through them all and see if there's anything in regards of heaven and all that. It's interesting, of course, that on Facebook, they haven't replied on Facebook for a long time. And then yesterday, or 2 days ago, something like that, I have to, in regards to my sleeping habits, it's, so, but anyway, not long ago, I put in a message, and the last message that I had put on Facebook was let's see here, was from the 13th of June, and the Roman calendar, so that's it's like over 2 months, according to the Roman calendar. And then I put the question in, and after I put the question in, this message came up about. Sadly to hear that Richard is is going in that direction, and really sad that I would have loved if I just had found out early about it, it would have been nice. But anyway, in regards to the message from Richard, it is verified according to this place. They actually did respond very nice and responded that, yeah, it is authentic, that this is what Richard wrote. So that just makes me a little curious. And I would have liked to talk to him before he left this world in regards of what he actually do believe in regards of this. So I asked, I was told that he couldn't talk to anyone. But then I asked if they had more information, and he sent me a PDF file that I'm reading at the moment. But I don't think the information is from Richard, as far as I can see. So. And it's attacking Alberto Rivera on many different levels. The question is this slander or is this truth, Because someone is clearly lying, If you have someone saying something and someone else saying something else, someone is lying. Someone is lying. That's, that's the, that we can conclude that someone is lying. Someone is not being truthfully, So anyway, Richard has lost all appetite and is very weak and frail. It is now time, and this was posted according to this 11 hours ago, but I might not have updated the Facebook, so it might actually be longer since. But anyway, it is now time to pray as he seems to be ready and wanting to go home with the Lord. Again, is this pointing out that he's going to heaven, because that seems to be the case. I think it's alluding to that. But again, I could just post a message and see how people react to it. It's not. I'm not doing it to be evil or anything like that. I'm just trying to figure out in regards of what is, And I did see in the other document some issues in regards of where they are saying that this doctrine is wrong. Yet it's not wrong,
And actually, in regards to the 1,000-year kingdom, it's something that was actually very early attacked by Rome, or the Roman Catholics, whatever you want to call them at that point. But you see that Melito, for example, believes in the 1,000-year kingdom on earth. And we have the other guy living close to Jerusalem that made these 5 books. I can't remember the name. He was also, they call it something, and they, there's a curse, and it's like, this Jewish fable and all that. What do it's in the Bible, 1,000-year kingdom and all that, just whatever. And that's one of the places where the SDA actually have problems, because the SDA believes that the 1,000-year kingdom is in heaven. That doesn't really make sense to me. But anyway, that's one of the... Again, you have to be very, very careful about the SDA in regards of because they have a lot of truth. The problem is not the truth. The problem is these slick issues that they have. Anyway. So, and I would have loved to see more from Melito, because we know Melito was very close to the, and the 7 congregations is in Turkey, Asia Minor, so in regards to the book of Revelation. So, it was, as far as I can see, the hotspot for truth the first couple of hundreds of years in the world. Anyway, but again, we have seems Satan have had his censor pen out there and censored a lot of things, and really anyway. So let's see. Please pray for both Richard and Lynn, as well as he continues to battle stage 4 breast cancer. May they both find peace in Christ. And this is, of course, very sad that in this world that we are dying from sicknesses and all that, and it's then you could, I don't know what he is, what issues he has, but we know that the Jesuits also have many ways of killing off people in a way of actually looking like that they are dying naturally, which when they are really just being murdered by the Jesuits. Those things that they have, it's just incredible. These, any case, back to many ways of killing people off. So maybe Richard just got it wrong in regards of, I'm still researching it, I don't know, but maybe let's say that I find out that Alberto absolutely is true and true to his, then Richard might still, he might just have been wrong on that part, he might have gotten misinformation. He might have looked at this Gary Met guy and thought that all his information was true and so forward, and thereby concluded that Alberto was a fake or whatever. I don't know. It's there's a lot of options, for this. So Richard, might be truthfully, there's just I'm just trying to figure out what is going on, So, it's just that, so people are writing here a lot of different quotes, and again, I would need to go through them all in regards to, but it seems like this this heaven doctrine might, so again, I might just write a little about that and see the responses on that, to see, to just put a finger up in the air and feel and find out where the wind blows in regards to this doctrine. But this is my message. Question to Richard Bennett. This is something I wrote according to this a day ago, but it might not be updated. But anyway, so it might actually be 1.5 days or maybe 2 days. I don't know. Anyway. Question to Richard Bennett. Is it true you reject Alberto as a former Catholic priest? I've looked on a most likely Catholic Danish homepage with a response from you according to the site. I wanted to hear if it is authentic. Thanks, I wanted to know if that letter is authentic or if someone just, made it up and all that, right? That's, go to the source, And that's also why I would have liked to talk to Richard before he died. That doesn't seem to be a possibility, but to hear what he, you can see some of his the younger videos, or some of his later videos, and the guy doesn't seem to have it that good. And again, I don't know what is wrong with him. but he did seem weak and frail and so forward. So but in regards of a blessing, he found Jesus Christ. Millions and billions, actually, billions of people don't figure out who Jesus Christ is. So at least it's, that's a great blessing. That finding out who Jesus Christ is. How blessed you are. How think about it. Billions of people don't know who Jesus Christ is. So that's it's a great blessing finding out who he actually is. It is. It's awesome. It's absolutely, it's the most precious pearl in the world, and so many are getting deceived by Satan, and we should of course stand for truth. So let's see here, and I post another message here in regards of the letter, and I'll read it. I don't know when he actually wrote this letter. I don't have a date on the letter. I could ask them about, but according to the ministry of Richard Bennett, I have gotten a confirmation that this was written by Richard Bennett, and it seems like it might actually be a long time since he wrote it. But anyway, it is the person that I talked to. I'm not sure who it is, but says that they talked a little about it, but it's here we go. This is from 6:45 in the morning in Denmark. Anyway, Anders, Richard did write what you posted, and that is his stance on Alberto Rivera. I hope that helps, brother. And absolutely, that helps. It helps to verify that this is actually written by him. And of course it helps to say that this is the stance that he have on Alberto. Again, I really wanted to talk to him. It would have been nice to, get it directly from the horse, or whatever you want to call it. They're directly from the mouth of Bennett. But of course, if he's really, 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 really bad, then that will. But it would have been a nice, last thing to do. So here it is said that Richard did write what you posted, and that is his stance on Alberto Rivera. So according to this, he's still having this stand, and that Alberto Rivera is not a priest. Pretty much was a fraud. So let's read what he. I have more info. I asked him, well, do you have more? I was asking if I could talk to him, and they, he said that there was no possibility for that, or the person said there was no possibility for that. Here's the next message. I do not know. Let's see. I wrote to him, if there was any particular issues he had on Alberto to discount him. And the second post up, this is me writing, I'm doing research on the topic, so anything would be helpful. So both of these I just wrote was from me. And the person writes back, I do not know. I've been helping Richard with the Berean Beacon ministry for about 20 years now, and we discussed it way back then when I was a new believer. I would ask Richard more, but sadly he is very sick and nearing his days in this world, brother. Okay, so I wrote back, I'm sad to hear that. I guess a phone call might be out of the question then. If he finds the strength, I would like to talk to him. I got that wrong. I would like to talk to him about it and hear his view. It is a big thing these days, trying to figure things out. And he says, I can say with certainty that Richard will not be able to speak with anyone. Sorry, brother. Okay, and so forward. And then I asked him, is there more information from Richard on this topic? Did Richard write anything more about it or go into more about? And he said the only thing he knew was this document that I've gotten. This is the only other article that we have in our database. Let me know if you can open it. And I could open it. But it's not from, as far as I can see, I haven't read it all, but it's, as far as I can see, it's not from It's not from Richard Bennett. Again, that's very sad. But let's look at the message that he sent. See here. So, oh, by the way, I have the letter, and this is me writing. I have the letter here, and I'll post the link as well for the website where it is found both in Danish and in the, as they say, original English. And apparently that's verified that this is a letter from him. And again, it's a Catholic that is referring me to this site. That he referred me to another site in regards of Gary Med and all that. But again, I've already studied a little in regards of Gary Med and finding some issues as well there. And it's kind of, you know, talking to this Catholic guy. He's named Casper, by the way. But you know, talking to this guy. This Catholic guy, he, you know, in regards of Walter Martin, for example, he just say, oh well, it's just easy to remove, discount information that you don't like. No, that's not the case. The case is that there are some issues in regards of. So when Alberto says, you know, talks about Walter Martin being on the list in regards to the Jesuit list, in regards of being a person that they can go to, that's just interesting. And Alberto talks directly to Walter Martin about it in a tape. So anyway. So again, Alberto is pretty out there, open about the things. And that's the interesting things, of course, about it, that he's just openly, you know, and it seems like Walter Martin is not too happy about being recorded, which also would be kind of weird, you know. Why wouldn't, you know, if he hasn't anything to hide, that wouldn't be a problem with Alberto in regards of, you know. Anyway, so Alberto doesn't seem to have had a problem with it being recorded, you know. So. Anyway, so Alberto Rivera, okay, this is the letter from Richard Bennett. And I know it might not be, it might seem kind of harsh because the guy is at his dying days and so forward. I do understand that. And I'm sad about that. That's, you know, but you know, I'm researching, you know, and I just can't get the, you know, I guess I'm not that emotional, you know, in regards of, or maybe I'm just, you know, I've had a lot of, you know, pain and suffering through, and you end up being, yeah, I guess, less of, you know, yeah, not that emotional about things, you know. I can't, I just, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. It's just how it's. I'm all. Yeah, it's just. Let's get to the facts, right? You know, that's the thing. So here he writes: Alberto Rivera never was a Jesuit priest. He says. There is documentation to show that he had been in different types of fraud before he got into that final fraud in which he died some time ago. And again, I do wonder in regards, is he, you know, when you're talking about fraud and all that and this and that, is he going to Gary Med for that information, or what is, you know, that's the thing, you know, I can't ask him. Now, I tried to write on the wall, but you know, and it would have been nice if they could have at least, you know, tried to talk to Richard about it, or, you know, whatever. Maybe maybe that would have been a spot where Richard would have had the strength to maybe do a little video, or maybe like, you know, on it. Some people on their dying bed, you know, have the strength sometimes to just a last video or whatever, you know. But anyway, but of course I do understand that if he's at the point where he really can't really speak much, you know, or have issues actually speaking, that's yeah, it's I do understand that. Just again, but it's just very, you know, that's. in regards of sources, I'm just trying to get more information on the things. Anyway, so it's a final fraud in which he died some time ago. I would to God that this were not true, but all of us who really were Roman Catholic priests know that the Catholic Church keeps a record in their dictionary, in their directories right across the world and in different nations of who were Catholic priests. So he's apparently talking about directories across the world that if Alberto was a priest, the name should have been in that. But I do wonder if the Jesuits couldn't just have corrupted that. If, after Alberto springing forward, couldn't the Jesuit have, and this whole system have just pretty much removed these things, I think that could be a possibility of that, as we also hear other people say. Also, this bishop talking about that, there's another bishop verifying Alberto, and he says, they will just, discredit you and remove the information they have about you and all that, something like that. So again, is that actually, anyway. These directories are in libraries and in other secular institutions, and they are for people to see. Alberto Rivera's name never appears as a Roman Catholic priest. What happened there? Okay. Yeah, okay. There we go. These directories are in libraries and in other secular institutions, and they are for people to see. Alberto Rivera's name never appears as a Roman Catholic priest. All the ministers that we have who evangelize Roman Catholics agree that Alberto Rivera never was a Catholic priest. And when we had a large conference in 1997 at John MacArthur's church, we were all united on that particular subject. So please know that those of us who really were Catholic priests are really upset with the Alberto Rivera materials. So please know that those of us who really were Catholic priests are very upset with the Alberto Rivera materials. So here he says, they're very upset about Alberto Rivera material because apparently he wasn't a priest, according to this. And that would be interesting to Anyway, let's go on. So he said, I helped Roy Livesey from the UK to write a book on Alberto Rivera. Roy Livesey interviewed his sister and other relatives and those who had known him. I have his book in hard copy. It is not yet published. And I think I've read about this book as well. That would, of course, be very interesting to see if, so apparently his book, this from Roy Livesey, I'm not sure who, I think I read about that at some point. Now, of course, my internet is broke, apparently. I have issues with it's an old computer and the stick is, I'm not running, I'm running with wire, and the female stick is broke. And that makes it an issue in regards to the connection. So I helped Roy Livesey from the UK to write a book on Alberto Rivera. Roy Livesey interviewed his sister and other relatives and those who had known him. I have his book in hard copy. It is not yet published. So the book should be there, right? Out there somewhere. In regards of discounting Alberto Rivera. Well, that would be a very interesting thing to look at, right? But I do one thing that I do not understand is that if why not put the information out there for free in these days? We have the internet. I think it was Roy Leafsey. Maybe it's actually him that actually talks about it in the other document. I can't remember. But anyway, we'll get to that. But he talks about that Czech publications wouldn't publish it. But I don't know why he would actually believe that they would. But anyway, but they would of course be at the center point of knowing if the things was true or not. Being a lot closer to the truth. But the guy, I think that was the thing that he had a trouble actually getting it published. Well, if you getting trouble getting it published, well, in our days, the internet is out there. So he can just scan the book and put it out there. So I'll see if I can. Maybe they have a number to this ministry somewhere. They should have on the webpage, I guess. So I can call them and get a hold of them and ask them about this, because Richard says he has this book exposing. So actually there might be some information, right? There should be some information to get a hold on, to figure out, again, getting closer to actually who is telling the truth and who is lying, to research, there's some whole, at some point when you research things, usually some things comes up, you will for example, Walter Martin, where you get these different bumps, for example, in the road. Like, for example, the Book of the Cold, and you don't find any chapter on the Roman Catholic Church. And you're like, why is there nothing about the Roman Catholic Church? Then you find another bomb that they say that Walter Martin never wrote in regards of, and then you find out that's untrue. It's out there. Then you find out that the Book of the Cults doesn't have this booklet anymore referred to, and yet if you get an older version of the Book of the Cults, it's there. It's referred to. And then you get to a guy that, for example, a testimony where they have a program in regards to these things, and then you have a caller calling in and saying he was at this, where Walter Martin was having one of his lectures and all that, in regards of not talking to the dead. You're not allowed to talk to the dead and all that. And this guy gets up in regards of, what about the Roman Catholics and all that? And according to this source, says that Walter Martin became angry, in regards of, the Roman Catholics are brothers and sisters and so forward. And it's like, okay, that seems. And then, of course, you have in regards of when Walter Martin was having his hands laid on, and this is from a Roman Catholic priest, I think, if I remember correctly, saying that, the Roman Catholic priest said that when he was ordained, or whatever it's called, in regards to Walter Martin, that Walter Martin, the Roman Catholic priest didn't, go up to put his hand and lay his hand on him as the other Protestant. And then Walter Martin looks at him and say, all the priest and all that, hinting to him, you Catholic priest, get up and lay your hand on me, So the Catholic priest said that the Protestant couldn't say that, that was another source and all that. So you see all these small bumps in the road, and where it's like, and then you see that he didn't really want to, it seems, in regards of Alberto Rivera, there's some hiccups, just so, he didn't want to stand for who the whole revelation was, and in regards to the beast and all that. And we have Alberto Rivera that really did that. He was really clearly about that. And again, so that's some warning signs. You get these warning signs down the road and this and that, and listening to lectures and finding out what the person believed. And in regards to the Book of the Cults, you also see some things, some doctrines that where you see what the guy actually believes, because he's attacking, things that he doesn't, he doesn't believe is true, and then promoting what he believes is true and so forward. So And there's something I remember finding something in regards to that as well. But in any case, it's very hard to remember everything because there's so many things. And again, I do. I think last time I did research on this that I feel like I'm getting into a spiral, where I'm misusing a lot of my time. But in any case, so I'm wondering if this is a deception on a deception on a deception, nearly, or if there's anything, or if Rivera is actually, true. Because again, it's still very important, because if Alberto was true, I think it's very, very important. But again, we know that Satan is a very crafty deceiver. So, they might have used more pieces to get people into, and misusing a lot of that time. I don't know. But I'm trying to figure it out, I guess. But I have been into this subject before, of course. And now I'm into it, and again, just seeing. And again, the good thing is there's more and more information from Alberto that's getting forward, and so I can look at it and listen to it and see if I can find anything that seems to be out of, And the thing is, there's really nothing that I've found where I can say this is, he's totally wrong on that. There are some things that I think he might have, that might be in regards of. But it's again, you can, but there's nothing really where I can really say that this is where he's on purpose promoting something that is anyway. Again, that's not. Anyway, yeah. It's not. The Walter Martin thing. I can see these hiccups. I have a lot harder finding them with Walter Martin. No, sorry, with Alberto. That's for sure. But then again, I know I was spiritual attacked hugely when I have the Czech publications, and I do find some issues in regards of the doctrines in the Czech, in regards of the heaven hell doctrine and depicting God, and there was one, and the King James version, the King James version onlyness, where they are pretty much. But anyway, that's three. What's the fourth thing? I think there was one more thing actually. I should read. I should write it down when I, because my memory just. So being on my toes. Anyway, let's go on here. So I helped Roy Leafsey. Okay, that was the Roy Leafsey. Maybe we should try to just research him. Let's open another page here. See who this guy is. Maybe this guy is still alive. Because and I think that might be also the reason why Alberto actually went to talk to them, because Alberto, of course, knew if he was telling the truth or not. So, and if Alberto didn't have anything to hide, of course, he took contact to them, and, that would, of course, be a way to show that, and to abolish their lies and deceptions about him, because he could just say, well, if it's true or not, according to his. Okay, let's see here. Here we have Roy Leafsey, understanding deception, more understanding the New Age, discerning the Antichrist and the occult revival, understanding the New Age, world government and world religion, and more. That's Danish for more. And apparently he written in regards of Alberto as well. But I don't know if he ever got it published. Apparently also in regards of Laertrill. Charismatic influences. And okay, anyway. Conman, conspiracy and confusion. A study in deception, hindrance to exposing it. I guess he should probably have something about Alberto Rivera if he believes that Alberto was a fake, right? So that might be something to get. But again, we have to be aware that there are wolves in sheep clothing out there, and the question is, who is speaking the truth? Who is, that's the thing. And again, the more that I'm able to figure things out and all that, the more able I'm able to discern who is telling the truth and who is lying. Do we have a picture of this guy? Okay, that's a different. I would guess he would be an older guy, so maybe this guy, but I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if he lives. Maybe this guy down here. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But let's see, in regards of the webpage, the beacon light. Didn't I have that open here? Beacon light? Oh, the Berean beacon. Let's see if they have a number. What? Sermon video. Some contact here. Let's see, contact. Contact the Berean. There's an email and so forward. I think I actually have emailed them and never gotten a response from them. But I got a response from the Facebook at least now today, so that's nice. There's no telephone number, so I couldn't really call them in that sense. But there is a lot of truth against the Roman Catholic. That's the whole ministry against the Roman Catholic institution. Speaking very, against this. I just still wonder why they would discount Alberto Rivera, and his, and then some of the information talks about that Alberto Rivera is speaking the truth in regards of Romanism, in regards of the Roman papacy and all that, but they go into that he's actually, deceiving people, and, so whatever the case, it seems that some of these sources absolutely agree that he is telling the truth about the Roman papacy, and yeah. Oh yeah. So if I can find out who this Roy Livesey are or is, that's the plural, so is would be the singular. Sorry about that. If I could find out if he's still actually living, and it seems the other guy helped him with it. That is in our days on his end of his life. Author of Alberto Rivera. Here's something in regards of an understanding deceptions as well. Something I'll see if. But of course, if I find out that someone is lying to me on purpose, I'm, it's the guy that actually, so this must maybe be the Alberto Rivera, the true story. Now, so what would I need to do? I would need to get the book, Is Alberto for Real, from Alberto himself in regards to Chick Publications, and then maybe get this book as well and read them both. And by the way, the picture up in the right left, that's me, and that's from my occult days. I guess somewhat in the ending of it, but anyway, being all spiritual and all that, right? So let's see, want to read. Let's see if we can go into no. Of course, they want money every time, right? Don't just lay things out for free, right? It's just annoying. So, but that seems to be the book that is released, at least. So at least that's one book. And probably in regards of deception and all of that, he should have something about Alberto Rivera in that book as well, I would guess, because, that would be, we have some problems with the mobile at the moment. Oh, well. Yeah, okay. It has had some hiccups here. And my nose is getting blocked as always when I'm speaking longer. So he said, I helped Roy Leavesey from the UK to write a book on Alberto Rivera. Roy Leavesey interviewed his sister and other relatives and those who had known him. I have his book in hard copy. It is not yet published. Again, I don't know when this mail was sent. It might be a very old email, but that seems to maybe be the book over here. So, in regards of the real story about Alberto or whatever, and Richard seems to have helped this guy. So, I might find some information in those, both in regards of Richard and in regards of this other guy, and then of course subjected to the others, listen to both sides and see what they, and see what I can figure out, and see what doctrines they are also, of course. Again, the more I read the Bible, the more I grow in doctrine, more I grow in truth and all that, the easier it is to. But yet again, people might be in error on some doctrines without actually on purpose. It might not be a thing that we grow, and in the beginning when I was a Christian, I didn't know anything. You tend to grow and grow and grow and grow. I was talking to the Mormons for I think a whole year, something like that. I had the Mormons coming to my place each week, and I was something about them not drinking tea or something like that. I can't remember, and is it the Seventh-day Adventists that don't drink coffee or whatever? But in any case, I talked to the Mormons, and we talked in English because he was American Mormons. Actually, I did also have some Danish Mormons coming to me. One of the times we sat, they sat four Mormons, and I sat there alone with these four guys. So two of them was Danes, and the two others was Americans. Anyway, then I talked to the Jehovah's Witnesses, which I call false witnesses because they deny Jesus the divinity. And I've talked to the SDA, and again, the SDA are the closest of those three in regards of truth. But you still have to be aware that there are some issues. And the first thing that I got when I was, I went to the Seventh-day Adventist, and they wanted to give me a book, and not the Bible, of course. And they gave me a book from Ellen G. White. And I at that point I just looked and I found some issues in the book and I threw it out. I'm sorry. I just like, if I find some issue here, anyway, one of the issues was that Ellen G. White is writing that Jesus had older brothers. And of course, that's something that goes back to the Roman Catholic Church. If you read the New Testament, there's nothing about them being older brothers. But this is going into in regards of the Catholic uses this as a defense in regards of Mary being an everlasting virgin, which of course the Bible, in the beginning of the book of Matthew says that Joseph did not know his wife until Jesus had been born. And to take it in plain words, Joseph, her husband, did not have sex with Mary until after Jesus had been born. So when Jesus was born, she was still a virgin. So, but after that, as a husband, having free legal, wife, it's just insane. Oh, you don't think, Joseph touched his wife? Just insane. Anyway, these insanities and all that. So they believe she was an everlasting virgin, which is clearly wrong. And the Mohammedans seems to have that doctrine as well. So again, two sides of the same coin, a lot of lies and deceptions and so forward. Now, believing that she went to heaven, they have, as I understand it, they have a whole chapter. I need to read it at some point, but there's two sources, as I understand it, in the unholy book of the Quran, which also we have a picture of the Antichrist kissing. Why would you kiss a book that says that Jesus is not the Son of God. You know, I just didn't see. Anyway, so they have a whole chapter, as I understand it, about Mary in the Quran, and they had another place as well in regards of Mary. So, you know, at some point I might actually read that, but again, you know, it's not really hard to see that the Mohammedan religion is fake, you know. And actually, I should begin to hurry a little because it's the preparation day, and I do want a ribeye steak for my Sabbath. You know, that is not slaughtered to Satan and all that. It's just, I guess it's become one of my customs in some sense. You know, a good ribeye. It's always nice to have a ribeye, and it's grass fed and all that. It's kind of expensive, and I think I'm actually probably I think that's probably whole in the bucket in regards of that. But you know, I'm not rich in gold and silver, but I do have the most precious pearl in the world, being much more worth than any gold or silver in the entire world. So I'm pretty blessed in that part, you know. So anyway, so let's see here what he says. So let's go with it. These directories. So that's another hint to check out. And again, so I'll think I'll look into this Roy Livesey from the UK and see what he says about that. Maybe at some point I'll see. You know, and I actually, more of my interest would actually be Alberto, to see what he says in regards of, was Alberto for real, from Chick Publications. I think I need to order that book. Now again, I do not understand, while having the internet, why not just make everything public? I would think that you would like to have more people read the things, and when you have it freely available, more people, I think, will read it, because those that are interested in the subject but maybe don't have the resources to buy it will have the ability to look into it. Anyway, now, in regards of the Christians, they shared everything. In the beginning, they had a community, like the Hutterites, for example, sharing everything. Anyway, I helped Roy Livesey from the UK to write a book on Alberto Rivera. Roy Livesey interviewed his sister and other relatives and those who had known him. I have his book in hard copy. It is not yet published. Now, I don't know if there's more in regards from Alberto's wife, but I have at least one interview with Alberto's wife and this other bishop that verifies Alberto. So, and he seemingly also has been discounted by the system. But there's pictures and Chick Publication, for example, where you see this guy standing with the Antichrist when he was a Roman Catholic bishop and all that. And anyway, so we also have pictures of Alberto Rivera in his younger years in his priest. But then, of course, the Roman Catholics will say, well, anyone could take, dress out as a Roman Catholic and all that. Priest. I mean, it is very interesting in regards of Alberto that when you look at the photos, this is, when they say, oh, you could just take something on and then you are, well, these photos are seemingly the younger Alberto. It's not his older, so he would have been able, he would need to, in some sense, go back in history and then take it on and then take the images and then, it just seems a little, extraordinary that, okay, I'm going to take these pictures when I'm young, or get these pictures of me as young priest, and then later on make up a deception about it. It just seems a little extraordinary, I think. Anyway. So again, maybe Alberto was just what he was, who he said he was. And that's the thing, was Alberto who he said he was. Also in regards to the nuns, we have different testimonies about the nuns. Now, of course, the Roman Catholics will just say, oh, it's just slander, or there's just anti-Catholic things and just not true, and this is just fake and blah, blah, blah. But, we have, a huge amount of testimonies from nuns as well, from these, what's it called, abbots or so whatever. And I remember one of the other guys that died in the flying accident, and I still can't remember his name. It was not the Jewish guy. But the guy that made an interview of Alberto Rivera as well and all that, can't remember the guy's name, but an SDA. And he was talking about being on this place where there's nuns and seeing them in the basement. And he said he wanted just to, to take them up, from the basement and all that. So he seemingly had an experience also with these things, and seeing them with his own eyes. What was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name. But he absolutely was seeking truth as well. And again, they might have murdered him. It wouldn't be a surprise. I helped Roy Livesey from the UK to write a book on Alberto Rivera. Roy Livesey interviewed his sister and other relatives and those who had known him. I have his book in hard copy. It is not yet published. And again, it must be the other book that I found here. Of course, if I buy it and look into the thing, if it actually has the interviews of his sister and other relatives, according to this, I would then be able to, in some sense verify if that is the book he's talking about. Samuel Villa, the famous Hispanic author, saw the fraud regarding Alberto Rivera and wrote warning about him before he died. But again, we also have to remember there's a lot of Roman papists out there hiding in disguises, So I don't know in regards of Samuel Villa who that guy is, but apparently he thought that Alberto was a fraud. But of course, many Roman Catholics, of course, would point out that this is just a fraud or wrong or whatever. I have the guy here. It actually looks like a Catholic guy. But let's see here. There's something in Amazon and Facebook, but it's in Spanish, it seems. There's an older guy, at least. Images, see some images here. He has like a, thing where it just goes over the whole thing on some of the images here. Would be nice with some more information about him, but again, it seems to be Spanish, most of it, and that's a problem. Of course, I don't know Spanish, so let's see Wiki. Let's see if there's some information in English in Wiki. Of course, I could maybe use some translation thing here. Citizen Spain, but not really. Yeah. Can't really. I would need some translation and use some time on that as well, to figure out if and see if there's any ties to the Roman Catholic Church as well and all that. Usually they tend to expose themselves sometimes here and there, and yeah. So that's the thing with Alberto. It's very, very, very hard to actually find anything, I think. Samuel Villa, the famous Hispanic author. So he's an author. So again, it seems that I saw the fraud regarding Alberto Rivera. But again, is Samuel Villa a Catholic? Is what sources are being used here? Let's see. Not saying that they can't speak any truth, but I'll see a Roman Catholic. Let's see Roman Catholic. Let's see if he's. It's a little hard to figure out. I'm not even sure if he's still alive. So at least there's these pictures of an older guy. But if he's a popular writer, shouldn't be that. And shouldn't be that hard to figure out if he was a Roman Catholic or not. A former priest is who's that? I don't know. Let's see. Oh my nose. 2 seconds. I'll just unblock my nose a little. Okay, there we go. Got some mucus out of my throat and my nose. Again, I don't know why, but it's just, it just comes in the back when I'm speaking, and I'm not sick or anything like that in regards to that. I have some testimonies in regard. This is from a Berean Beacon, from former Catholics and all that. And their story, I think, in regards to former priests and nuns. I'm just curious, because the Berean Beacon ministry and Alberto was seemingly is attacking the same institution, and yet, one institution thinks Alberto was a fraud, and it's just curious. Anyway, let's go on here. But maybe, if Alberto is for real, then maybe the other guy at the Berean, Bennett, maybe he just made a mistake, or maybe not. But, well, I have to figure out what is, who is actually, telling the truth and who is lying. Because, again, someone is clearly lying. Now, someone is not telling the truth, that's for sure. Someone is lying. The question is who, I guess that would, that's... So Samuel Villa, the famous Hispanic author, saw the fraud regarding Alberto Rivera and wrote warning about him before he died. But yet, I know that Alberto talks in one of his videos about a Roman Catholic magazine in Spanish, and he talks about where it seemingly talks about him as a priest, actually verifying that he was a priest. So I would very much like to get that information. This magazine, even if I just get it in Spanish, I could translate it. I'll give, we have some tools to, translate some of the things, right? So to find out because if we actually have sources, Roman Catholic sources, we have the bishop that came out of Roman Catholicism and speaking, that's for 1.5 hours or something like that. He's talking with Eric Phelps, and Eric Phelps absolutely believed that Alberto was one of the greatest men in the 20th century, or the greatest man in the. I think actually that he believes that Alberto was the greatest man in the 20th century. I think he's saying so. Nearly a direct quote, I think, from Eric Phelps, and Eric Phelps is on an interview with another guy called Greg Szymanski or something like that. And I have found an issue in regards to Greg, but. Besides that, it seems he's looking for the truth and all that, and actually, but there was an article where he doesn't have it up now, but I looked into these past machines and all that, and I found it. I found the link on another website, and actually, I think that was the guy that wrote this article, that was actually in regards to James, which I still have some. Anyway, that's any case. So James, this is one of the guys that actually, pointing to the Jews, so they're feeding you Roman Catholic things, against the Roman Catholic, and then, pulling you in the direction of the Jews. And that's, that's no go. Anyway, yeah, sure, the Jews have issues, but that's not the pinnacle of power in this world. That's the Roman Catholic institution and the Roman Emperor. Anyway, so he had this link in regards because someone had pointed him to Greg Szymanski or whatever he's called, and he found this where he was listening to him something in regards of believing that Jesus was just a Roman invention that was a popular thing at some point in the past, but apparently that was removed from the website, and James then found something written and put that link on his page, and that I took that link, which was broken, and just put it into an old machine thing, and I found the article. And true, I should probably print it out actually, because you never know. Just so I have the information. I would like to ask Greg about that, because it seems like Greg seems to be pretty honest guy. So just looking for the truth and knowing a lot of it actually. He might just be a little naive maybe, or whatever. But again, he has removed it from his website as well. He has a website. Let's see if I can find that again. Oh, that is on my... let's see here. So of course, one is getting closer and closer to the things. It's going in the right direction. That's for sure. In regards of here we go. Who is Greg Szymanski? Here was the article. That was what I got when I searched on Greg Szymanski to find out who is this guy. Let's see here. That's the apparently a picture of him in regards of Arctic Beacon, and I think that was broken. Listen to what he has to say. What he has to say about Jesus Christ, and that link apparently broke. Let's see if we can open it. Yes, and then we'll open the other thing here as well. And so as honest, he writes February 29, 2016. Sometimes after I posted this article, the link to the audio talk on Greg Szymanski's website was either moved or deleted. I went back to his site and found something in text, what he had to say about Jesus. So, but this has been, again, it's not to be found anymore. Let's see if we can find the links that I opened. And you can see, oops, that page can't be found. And then he makes James makes the update, and actually James have a wonderful book in regards to, so it's not, he is exposing the Roman Catholic Church, but the guy James and the other guy that he also was pointing to are promoting that the Jews, they're pointing out, it's like feeding the fishes in regards to true food, and then coming up with then taking your fishing rod and then which has a hook on it to try to take you in the direction of it's the Jews. Now, yeah, the Jews have issues, but it's not the Jews in regards of world power and all that. But as you can see, both of the pages are dead. But of course, his website is still working. So again, I can contact Greg at some point, which I'll see if I can do as well, and ask some questions. If he doesn't have anything to hide, well then, I would like to ask him about this article where he talks about that, Jesus was only an invention of the Roman, I would like to hear if he still believes that, or if it was just, where he was, I don't know. But he seems to be a reporter looking for truth, as far as I can see at the moment. So, let's have see old web pages. So you just say old web pages, for example, or websites or whatever, archive, and you just do a search on that. This is a very powerful tool sometimes, because when someone, for example, in regards to the feminist movement, I think I have actually, that was some very interesting material on their website where they were pretty much exposing themselves totally, what they actually wanted in regards of, they wanted free sex, they wanted to commit whoredom and, be whores, and they wanted to murder their children if they became pregnant, of course, because if you become pregnant when you are out there doing things you shouldn't actually do and become pregnant, well, you just kill the child, right? Because the child is apparently, then the issue. And then they wanted to change the patriarchal system, hatred to men. So that was three things they just flat out told about what the feminist movement was all about, So here we go. So this is in regards to the headline in regards of Greg, and as you can see, there's should be it's easier on the computer, of course, but I'm just showing you here. So you can push here, and then you can find snapshot of the web page. I'm not sure if that is the latest of it. Let's just take this one, and then you can see what was actually on that page. And that's a great tool to use if you are investigating something and some person have taken things out. And here he has the web page, and then he gives the link to and then of course one can open the links and see what in regards of it as well. And the Jesus hoax, whatever, and blah blah blah, and so forward. So of course I would like to ask him about some questions about that. So yeah, but anyway, it might just, I don't know. But anyway, Greg and Eric Phelps and this bishop is speaking together, and you have, I think, 1 hour or 1.5 hour of show where they're talking, and Eric Phelps is, they all three are speaking a little here and there. And the bishop saying that he knew Alberto, and yeah, he believes that it's true in regards of this and that, and then we have a video from Alberto's wife speaking to this bishop on video. So we also know how he looks and all that. And he's talking about the different things in the Roman Catholic Church in regards to the hat and different things in regards of... And the thing is, if they want to discredit this guy, and if I'm going to further research things and actually find out that this bishop is telling the truth about these things, then who am I going to trust? If the guy that has spoken some things that I have no idea of is actually speaking the truth, and when I research, I get verifications of it, and people will just, the Roman Catholics tries to say that he's just a fraud and he was never a priest or blah 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 blah. Who am I going to trust? Oh well. Anyway, so let's see. So that's one of the supporters of Alberto Rivera, one of the sources that we have. Again, Eric Phelps really also puts Alberto on a, that this is the most important man in the 20th century. And if Alberto, if he was telling the truth and if he wasn't a fraud, yeah, I think he would probably be the most important person in the 20th century. I can follow that line of thought, absolutely. If he's who he says he was. So anyway, Samuel Villa, the famous Hispanic author, saw the fraud regarding Alberto Rivera and wrote warning about him before he died. Again, I don't know who Samuel Villa is, so I don't know his background and so forward. That would be something I needed to research anyway, so here he goes in. This is still Richard Bennett here. I personally know Bob Bush and Victor Afonso, both former Jesuits saved by grace. They were willing to personally testify to Jack Chick, who produced the Alberto comic books, that Alberto Rivera never was a Jesuit. Jack later called off that visit that first he agreed to, so the fact is that Alberto Rivera was never a Jesuit priest. And then he says, yours in our glorious Lord, Richard Bennett. Now, and I put on the information that I put the Danish, it's called dk.abiblestudent.com. I haven't looked into in regards to if this is a Roman Catholic source or what, but it wouldn't be a surprise if he was. But I don't know, let's see who this guy is. It seems there's some Spanish as well on this. And of course, in regards to the Spains, we know that there's a lot of Roman Catholics. But he has translated the whole into Danish. he talks in the beginning that has began to go around anti-Catholic material through non-Catholic churches in Denmark in regards of a Jesuit priest by the name Alberto Rivera. These materials points out correctly. These materials points out correctly a lot of the non-biblical elements in the Roman Catholic Church, but these materials are also filled with conspiracy theories that builds on Alberto's testimony as a former Jesuit priest. But is Alberto faithful in those points? I suggest, what do you call it? I got into the idea of checking this out. I should, bad translation, but I not suggested. I got into wanting to look into this closer and get in contact with some non-Christian what do you call it, congregations for Catholics, like the Berean Beacon, and again, in regards to former Roman Catholicism, Richard Bennett is a former Roman Catholic. In regards of the leader of this congregation, who is himself a former Catholic priest, Richard Bennett, answered about this. So he's using this letter to apparently say that Alberto is wrong. It's also about, personally, I think that one should point out the non-biblical elements in the Roman Catholic Church, or the Catholic Church, but it has to be done on a provable base or ground, and therefore he suggests that therefore we as Christians must take distance from the material of Alberto Rivera. The problem is, was he actually, if he's going to use one letter from this congregation to just deny what Alberto Rivera, and that's the thing, a lot of, some of the things that he says in regards of Alberto Rivera is just over the head. But the thing is, a lot of these things, that over the head things, and you're looking into them and you find that it's either pointing in that direction or you can verify it. And that's very interesting. So to just, that's the thing, to discount, did I lose? No, here we go. Then it goes in regards of Donald Blayton, in a longer time has worked with Alberto, testifies about him in regards, and I can see the footnote here. I don't think I actually, that's probably the letter that that's some of the letter that I actually got from the same place. So the same thing, the same information is pretty much from the same place, it seems, that he's using. Donald Blayton that is no longer working with Alberto in regards to testimony, see footnote. And further, Roy Livesey fixed 3 years in the investigation of Alberto. See the Alberto Rivera story, and that's, I guess, the book that, so we're getting some, the book is not, but we can find it other places. I think that was the book that was also found on Amazon. So, let's see here, the book. Yeah, it must be this book in regards of Roy Livesey, edited by Sean Wilcock, The True History of Alberto, so-called True History. But again, if Alberto was speaking the truth, wouldn't you absolutely, you would expect that the Roman Catholic institution, insane institution, would react on this and try on many different levels to discount what he was saying. So again, you know, I guess I'll have to reread a lot of the material again. So anyway, so that's pretty much this Danish source, you know, and you know, it's and the thing is, what is it that is wrong in regards of Alberto? You know, what is it do they find that when he says that Nazism was created by the Roman Catholicism, or that communism were fixed by, or that Mohammedanism was fixed by it, or the mafia, and so that all roads actually leads to Rome? Is that something that actually goes against the Bible? Not really, is it? Because what does the Bible says? It's Rome, the mother whore, mystery, Babylon the Great, who is, you know, in regards of all the, you know, so it's not really, you know, going against the Bible, what the Bible says, in regards to what Alberto is providing. But what he is telling is kind of real, you know, over the head of people. And, you know, but, you know, it's just like, you know, it seems like outrageous claims. But that doesn't make it non-true, just because it sounds like it's, you know. So, and that's the thing. Was he telling the truth? Oh, well, is he not telling the truth? Because if we're just calling it conspiracy theories and actually find out that some of these conspiracy theories are actually true, then what about the rest of the so-called conspiracy theories? That's the thing. That's the thing. You can find a lot of material in regards of Nazism. You can find the symbols going back to Rome, the eagle, the cookie Jesus on the flag of the Nazis, where they have a sun symbol in the middle of the cookie. Hitler was a Roman Catholic. His parents was Roman Catholics. He was in good standing with the Roman Catholic Church until his illegible death. Oh, conspiracy! Well, maybe it's true. And that's the problem, because if that's true, Alberto was then telling the truth about a lot of things. And Rome would not like that. Absolutely not like that. She would do everything and anything in her power, I think, to discount that and to, you know, so again. So the same thing with the Mohammedans. Did Rome create the Mohammedans? Well, when I see the people that, you know, saying, oh, this is wrong and this and that, you know, their arguments is just total failure. You know, one thing is to discount something, but use, you know, arguments that is just total failure already out of, you know, it's just, you know, it's just, in regards to saying, oh, Jerusalem was already Christian and all that. Yeah, they were under the power of who? Under the power of the Byzantine Empire, not Rome. And Rome, if Rome wanted Jerusalem for herself, well, she would need to get the Byzantine Empire away. And that was conflict in regards to the Byzantine and the Roman, you know, you have these conflicts between these two. So these, these failed arguments that sometimes you hear people tell, that just, it doesn't make sense, that it wouldn't make, just absolutely. I think I saw what it was like not long ago in regards to a documentary where you see the so-called Pope in regards to Rome, and you see the Byzantine Empire, and you see the conflicts between these two powers. I don't even think it was actually I think it was a documentary. I just sadly can't remember. It was a video documentary in regards of it. I think. I can't remember where, but in any case, there's so many things and I can't remember everything. But there you saw the conflict between these two guys. And of course, if it's true, you can just look it up, right? And find more information on it and see if am I actually correct on it or not. That's the thing, right? We're looking for truth. That's the, yeah. And yeah, Alberto is again, talking a lot of truth, and that's the thing, how you, and some of these sources are saying, yeah, he's true, a lot of the things he's saying is true, but not these conspiracy things and all that. Well, okay, so what do you think is the conspiracy of it? Is it in regards of Nazism being created by Rome, or communism being created by Rome, or controlling the what is it called, the mafia? What does the mafia do when they go out and kill people or whatever they do? They go to a Roman Catholic priest to get what? Absolution, forgiveness of sins, right? Because that's the way you can just do the same thing with the Hastashi thing. They could just go to a Roman Catholic priest, and because they have killed off people in regards of doing it for Rome, well, they can get absolution for their sins and all that. Same wicked thing. Yeah, just... And the Freemasonry thing, going back to Rome as well, And the Mohammedan the Mohammedan religion also seems to go back to Rome. I can't really, get total verification of it, but if you look at the data, it seems to go in that direction, But in any case, the Mohammedan religion is pagan. It's not the true, it's denying Jesus is God's son. It's pretty clear that Muhammad was a false prophet. It should be so quickly to, when the Mohammedans say, oh, we also believe in Jesus, and you say, oh, you also believe that he's the son of God. And then the Mohammedan will say, no, God doesn't have a son. Oh, really? Really? Yeah, and that we kicked Muhammad out of the book, out of the boat, because clearly he's a false prophet. He's a stinking wolf. You can smell him miles away, and yet Christians are falling for, ecumenical. Yeah, well, if you deny the Son of God and God in flesh, you will die in your sins. Jesus said, Yeshua said, his Hebrew name, Yeshua said that if you do not believe that I am, you shall die in your sins. They could see him, they could speak with him, they could hear him, and so forward. The idea was, did they know he was living, this guy, That was not the issue. The issue, if you do not believe that I am, you shall die in your sins. That's like, give me a break, People are like, so many filthy lies and deceivers out in the world, I have no idea how you people can live with yourself, Oh, well, of course, if you're deceived, that's one thing. Another thing is not to be deceived, but actually know that it's just go on with these deceptions. So, anyway, so yeah, here he actually has the letter from Donald Platon's letter. Yeah, and that seems to be the same thing that I actually have printed out in 6 pages, and there's some more in my 6 pages. Maybe is that the guy? No, there was another guy that actually made the book. But think about it: if you are the Roman Catholic Church, and this guy is, is spitting out truth, huge on so many levels, what are you going to do? An institution that has, have the absolute power in this world. Of course, you're going to try to discount him. Of course, that's what you're going to do in regards to your demonic, filthy, So, and you're all, as in regards to the Jesuit oath, in regards of, saying that, oh yeah, that you're even going against your own religion to, that. So again, these people talking about, yeah, it's true that the Roman Catholic Church is the whole revelation and in regards of Rome and the Antichrist and all that. But even if they go so far to actually say that and be true, that's actually true, we still have to be aware that the Jesuit oath, for example, talks about them actually doing it. We can, that was the one that we read, not long ago, right? In regards of, in this video, in regards to the extreme oath. We just have to take this seriously in regards of not just, my son, heretofore you have been taught to act the dissembler among the Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic, and to be a spy even among your own brethren. Who would that be? Well, the Roman Catholics, right? To believe no man, to trust no man, among the Reformers to be a Reformer, among the Huguenots to be a Huguenot, among the Calvinists to be a Calvinist, among other Protestants generally to be a Protestant. And obtaining that confidence, and obtaining that confidence. How are you going to obtain that confidence? Well, promote truth, right? And then, without them knowing, you just change. You just begin to promote filthiness. You get in there, you got the foot in the door, and now you begin to, Anyway, to seek even to preach from their pulpits. So what are they trying to do? To preach from the pulpits. That is what it says. And to denounce with all the vehemence in your nature our holy religion and the Pope. You see? You even go so far as to denounce with all the vehemence in your nature our holy religion and the Pope. Do you understand that? Huh? So when you hear someone speaking also against this system, be aware that that is not to say that they couldn't be an infiltrator, a Jesuit, a Roman Catholic, a child of the devil, pretty much. Anyway. And of course, the Satanists also have this doctrine of it being okay to have some light and some darkness and all that. You mix light with darkness and all this. A cold thing, when you just, you have this where you can't have darkness without light or light without darkness and so forward, and whatever. In regards to the occult things and all that, it's just, whatever. Anyway, and even to descend so low as to become a Jew among Jews. Do you think the Jews are in control? No, the Jews are not. The Jews are being used as a scapegoat. And some Jews are in powerful positions. Maybe they are set there on purpose to be able to point to them and say, hey, it's the Jews. It's not the Roman Catholics, it's not the Jesuits, it's the Jews. And you see this again and again and again and again and again in regards of pointing to, it's the Jews and this and that, and that you might be enabled to gather together all information for the benefit of your order as a what? A faithful soldier of who? The Pope, the Antichrist, the beast of the number 666. Yep. So, that's something to be aware about. By the way, Denmark, where I live, is actually also mentioned as one of the enemies of this, because we were a Protestant country, and yet look at us. How far we have fallen and how ashamed we should be. Anyway, let's see here. Okay. So again, it would be very interesting to get that Catholic Spanish thing. Hey, if any Spanish out there knows Spanish and all that, you could dig up in all of the Spanish things about Alberto and all that. He was speaking in Spanish as well, and in regards of, so yeah. Anyway, where did we get to? It's like, okay. I'm getting kind of hungry, and of course I would need to buy my ribeye before the sun set. Okay, I have a little over an hour to get to the shop and buy some good ribeyes. Anyway, I guess I'm fat. I really should do something about it, and I know I can do something about it very quickly. But anyway, everything is going downhill in this world, right? Where was it? But at least they let, I haven't been censored on this webpage, at least yet, So, I guess that's also the reason why I'm a little careful of calling people brothers, because we know the wolves in sheep clothing, because Jesus was warning us about wolves in sheep clothing. So, just a little careful about using that. So because who knows if it's actually a wolf in sheep clothing and all that. So that's. So anyway, I personally know Bob Bush and Victor Alfonso, both former Jesuits saved by grace. They were willing to personally testify to Jack Chick, who produced the Alberto comic books, that Alberto Rivera never was a Jesuit. Jack later called off the visit that first he agreed to. So the fact is that Alberto Rivera never was a Jesuit priest. Now, by the way, there's also some cartoons that Alberto himself was publishing because Jack Chick didn't want to publish those. And I don't know why, because one of them was just exposing the doctrine of Mary, which is very interesting. And at that point, I really didn't know anything in regards of, you're just sitting there reading the cartoons and you're thinking, no one could believe that, believe in such things, And then you find out, 1.2 billion Roman Catholics, or a lot of them, are actually believing this Mary bullshit, and praising Mary, so-called Mary, walking around with statues of so-called Mary, when you look at this and you see them dropping the Mary statue and it breaks and all that, and you see the reaction from the people. I'm not sure if I need to laugh or cry my eyes out, because it's just so sad to see how people are just, it's a statue. It's a statue. It's an idol. It's just, it's insane. So anyway, and they're lighting candles for Mary, the Mary statue, and praying to her and all that. Is abomination. Absolutely abomination. And all these filthy doctrines they have of her, it's not true. Queen of heaven, everlasting virgin, born without sin and all that, in regards of being, without sin and all that. And, and they have this idea that, hey, it's better to go to Mary than Jesus. And also in regards of, so this, that I can remember at the moment, in regards to this Catholic priest and saying, oh yeah, but the Catholic Church, we also have the feminine and all that, and pointing to, so because women have much, might more want to talk to a woman than a man, because men are so, oh, give me a break. Oh, give me a break with your lies and deceptions, It's abomination, total abomination. You liars and deceivers and blind guides. Anyway, you just get kind of emotional in regards of it, Just tired of the lies, tired of the liars and the deceivers, Just totally tired of it. Anyway, because I'm using so much time trying to figure out what is the truth and this and that, and there's people out there trying to deceive me and trying to and that has just been ongoing for years and years and years and years, trying to figure out the truth, and it's you just don't get a rest from it, Satan is all over, Of course, people don't believe in Satan anymore. It's like, or demons, Oh my, it's incredible. And thereby, when we don't take things seriously, we get deceived. A lot of people get deceived. So anyway, I personally know Bob Bush and Victor Alfonso, both former Jesuits saved by grace. They were willing to personally testify to Jack Chick, who produced the Alberto comic books, that Alberto Rivera was a Jesuit. Jack later called off that visit that first he agreed to. So the fact is that Alberto Rivera never was a Jesuit. Oh, is that a fact? That's a fact. It's because some guy called off the visit, he was... Thereby we conclude that he was never a Jesuit, and these two guys, and all that, right? Because the Roman Catholic Church would never send anyone to try to discredit someone that tells truth, just trying to, run things around and trying to figure out what is going on. Anyway, yours in our glorious Lord, Richard Bennett. So anyway, now I've verified that this letter apparently comes from Richard Bennett, and again, apparently can't call him and so forward, but whatever. Just getting tired of the liars and the deceivers. By the way, so Alberto, I think he published 2 of his own cartoons because Jack Chick didn't want to. Or what was the name actually about this? Jack later called off that visit first he agreed to. So the fact is that Alberto Rivera never was a Jesuit. Again, that's what he says. Richard Bennett. The question is, if I find out without any doubt that Alberto was a Jesuit, it's you get somewhat upset, if anyway, and it's just typical anyway. So of course, if he's telling the truth that Alberto, was just a fraud, okay, then I would be kind of pretty annoyed about, it's just so. But again, I haven't really found any great where I'm thinking. But anyway, I know it could be a deception on a deception on a deception and so forward, just try to get us that looks for the truth to get in this spiral of this thing and using a lot of energy and research on these things. So anyway, instead of reading the Bible and so forward, right? But anyway, Richard Bennett says he was never a Jesuit. That's his conclusion. So I got more information on that in regards of the. Oh, by the way, in regards of one of the cartoons that Alberto released himself, and in regards of the Mary doctrine, this is actually another Roman Catholic that apparently you see him getting a hold of one of these cartoons of Alberto and reading it, and this Roman Catholic. That is a former Roman Catholic, I think at that point, he finds out that this guy, because he's, this former Roman Catholic is writing a book against, about what he knows in regards to what is happening in the U.S. and in regards to this institution and so forward. And he reads Alberto's magazines and find out this guy knows a lot of things, that he has a lot of the puzzle pieces that I don't have and all that, and but again verifying that in regards to what he knows already, and can verify a lot of the things according to Alberto's information. And this guy releases his book, which I have yet to read, but and it also talks about his story, where in regards of he's getting educated as a Roman Catholic priest, if I remember correctly. And he's taught this doctrine of Mary, and that's I didn't know about. First time I read it, I didn't really know about it at that point, if I remember correctly. If my memory serves me correct, and thereby I was like, this is again verifying it later on. Again, when I read the Alberto cartoons, I didn't know much. I didn't know much about things at that point. So many of the things that Alberto told was just totally over my head, and I've just verified so many of it, that. So anyway, so this guy talks about that he's taught this Mary doctrine, and he talks with this priest about it afterwards, after class, that this doesn't really seem to be that's something, and then the priest talks about this and that and twist things and so forward, and I think if I remember, so he becomes a priest, if I remember correctly. You can read that cartoon for yourself if it's like number 7 or something like that of the number, but it's not, it wasn't released by Jack Chick, and I do still wonder why Jack Chick wouldn't have wanted to release that. Why he would have thought that would be out of, it's just exposing the Mary doctrine, but maybe Jack Chick thought he was getting to enough flame from I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't why he wouldn't release it. But any case, whatever. So this guy that is a former Catholic priest takes contact to Alberto Rivera, and he writes a book, or he has he releases a book, and not long after that, it seems he's murdered, according to Alberto Rivera. This guy is murdered. But it would be interesting to then read the book, of course, from this guy. So, again, I can't remember all the information about that, but that would be an interesting thing to look into as well. Again, with the more information that I have. Now, so the other thing that I have, let's just turn the camera around. This is my place, by the way. As it's a mess, pretty much a mess. Anyway, there's the computer and all that, and my fan is broken in the so I have this outside fan, and papers on the floor as well, right? And papers, more papers, and papers and papers, and papers and more papers. That's the way it is at my home. It's just So and up and down there as well. So let's see if I can find it. It's over here. Yep. So, by the way, that's this is one of the books from Martin Luther, and there's 55 of these books. 55 of these books. It's incredible. He wrote a huge amount. By the way, that's the Catholic Chronicles by Keith Green as well, and which also was, what shall we say, censored, and that's another story and all that, but you can get them on the internet freely available. There is, in regards to what Walter Martin wrote against the Roman Catholic Church in the beginning, to get credit from the Protestants. I don't have that, but that's also on the internet as well, that you can get. And there was one of these researchers, but he has deleted me on Facebook, so I can't remember his name. I'm not that good at names, but one of the things was that I could look on my Facebook and then remember his name. But what is it called? But they have done a lot of research as well. Larry Wessel, that's Larry Wessel that put out that information. He had the information from Walter Martin and put it out there. So it is actually, it absolutely does exist, and of course I have verification from another book. Then we have the Haley's Bible Handbook about church history, and I haven't read it all, far from it, but this was a chapter exposing a lot of the things of the Roman Catholic Church as well. And Billy Graham bought the rights to this book, and the whole chapter was taken out. Interesting, right? And this is after Haley's death. So Haley used a lot of time actually fixing this chapter together, according to his wife, and the wife saying that Haley would never have taken this out. But anyway, it's in regards to church history. So, now I got into, but anyway, it's how we got the, but no, that's not it. It's right. How we, no, still. Church history. So this is an old version of his book. So what is that in regards to Mohammedans, maybe? Or some Mohammedanism? Oh, interesting. He has something in regards to Mohammedanism. Anyway, let's just put it there. But anyway, smells old as well, by the way. But I got it from eBay. I had a guy that was quick to search it out, and I found it, or he found it, sorry, and I was just, okay, I'll order it, and have a look at that as well. I have read the other ones in regards of, but it's so much out there, and the brain can only do so much, right? Here we have the Donald R. Blankton in regards of, I guess, so that was some of the. I was sent to another website as well in regards to this Roman Catholic in Denmark, in regards of Gary Metz and all that. But again, seems to be some issues in regards of Gary Metz. They at some point they usually there was sometimes where it was like. Where you see things where it seems like they're exposing themselves. So here we have something in regards from my name is Donald R. Blankton, and I'm a former Roman Catholic that heard the Holy Spirit call to come out of her, my people. and he goes in and all that, and he's agreeing with a lot of the things it seems from in regards to Alberto, but he still thinks he's. But anyway, let's see here, and he actually warns about grievous wolves in the world. Yeah, but you have to remember, a wolf can also speak like that. A wolf can turn things upside down and turning it 180 degrees around. Speaking some words of truth. Yet he's flipping it around, so it's just Satan is very deceptive. Anyway, what I found interesting was he writes it down here. We teach God's people that the Jesuits have infiltrated Protestantism with false futurism, and then he goes into there's a what's it called, the clam, or what do you call it, parentheses, pre-trib, rapture, future antichrist, and then he puts in 1,000-year earthly reign. Hey, wait. In regards to the 1,000 years earthly reign, when did that become a false doctrine? Of course, if you ask the Roman Catholic Church, then, of course, they have an anathema or a curse in regards to it's a Jewish doctrine, and they call it something, I can't remember. They have a word for it. I actually found out it seems not to go back to the Latin, but the Greek. So they have this. I actually wrote that to the Roman Catholic guy, so I should actually be able to find it really quickly what it's actually called, and you can look it up if it's, let's see. I thought it actually was with a T, but let's see here. Let's see if I can find it. Can I just skip the see all in Messenger? Thank you. Uh-oh, we have a problem with the internet again. I really need to get some, something, a new computer or something like that. That's over the top here. It's an old computer. It still works, right? So it's just, but, or maybe I should get if I can get an USB cable, that would help a lot as well. I have a, let's see here, let's turn it around here. I have like a USB hub here, so I have more of these because I've had to connect a lot of things and all that. But anyway, at some point I really should get a new laptop. Yeah, it has been a very good laptop, it has worked a lot of, well, again, they designed the laptop, so the last thing you can actually get into is the fan. And it's just, and I think that's on purpose in regards to all the insanity designs that is happening in the world, and they don't want you just to have easy access to your things and all that. It's just so stupid, You use an hour or something like that to open all the computers and take every single screw out just to get to the fan. It's just insane. But anyway, that's the insanity world that one lives in. Let's see if I can find. This is Richard Bennett. We have to have Casper here. I've actually sent him some stuff to look into. I haven't really gotten anything back from him, but in regards to that, and of course he talks about Mary and all that. He again pretty much exposes what they believe, and again he also exposed that in regards to the Mary doctrine, that's not something that they are firstly telling the Protestants about, and in regards of the. And I must say, I was in one of the forums that I was that I began to talk to him. I posted on a Christian forum. Now, of course, I'm getting kicked out of a lot of Christian forums. Funny enough, just for speaking about the Antichrist and the Roman Catholic Church, and because of ecumenical love, and who knows, there's probably some of these ecumenicals that actually runs these things and don't want the Christians to have the truth. If you can control a forum, right? If you're, that's the best possible way, right? To censor anything that is. But in any case, so I put up some of these on this place, and I had three Roman Catholics respond, and one of them apparently was a new Roman Catholic, and he just put pictures of so-called Mary and prayers and songs to her, something like that. It was like, it was just gold. It was just gold because everybody could then see what the, and Casper then rebuked this Catholic of saying you shouldn't really tell, you shouldn't, in regards of Mary and all that, they don't understand it because it's like the same thing in regards of these this other doctrine that like the 95 thesis in regards of where you pay and all that. It's like telling the Protestants about that and so forward, and it's and it's pretty much in regards of the one of the last things that that you're taught and blah blah. Oh, give me a break. Oh, you can't just spill it out, and I every time I see someone just spilling out what they actually believe, it's like woohoo. Yeah, because that's the thing with Satan. He has a way of hiding what they actually believe. It's the same thing with it's actually, I find it everywhere that don't have the truth. They're just hiding what they, you really have to dig into what they and then you can, when you then find out, you can begin to verify, because then you can give them questions. And if you actually show people that it's true and all that, that you have found out something, and then you go over, hey, this and that and all that, and well, people don't want to, they want to keep the the lie going in some sense, and the deception going in some sense. So they will verify a lot of the things that you say, and then you talk to a lot of people and this and that. You get out there, and it's the same thing with the Yeshu, for example. Yeshu means may his name be blotted out or obliterated. That's from the Jews. Now, I'm not against Jews or anything like that. They have problems, absolutely, but it's not, I'm not against Jews, but I want the truth, right? But anyway. So they call Jesus Yeshu, which is actually his Hebrew name is Yeshua, but they don't call Jesus that. He has a specific name, Yeshu, which is an acronym for may his name be obliterated and blotted out. So, and what do? Find a Jew and ask him and get verification. And I met one of these Jews in Jerusalem, and I found one that I wanted to, that I asked him, hey, may I ask you some questions? And I only got one question, but, that's okay. In any case, I talked with this, I found, he was on the way to the wall. I met him just before the Jaffa Gate. I was actually coming from the Jaffa Gate and then turning around and asking him that, because he was in that direction of the Jaffa Gate. There's these stones and all that. So I'm asking him and all that. And, in regards of this Yeshu, just ask questions. Is it true that, that in regards of Yeshu, in regards of an acronym for may his name be obliterated and blotted out? And just remember this Jew, he was going. And he just looked down on the stones, and it was like it was just like a face that was just I don't know. I felt like he felt like ashamed about it. And he said yeah, that is what it means. And he just began to walk quicker, and I was like, okay, that's closed doors for anymore. But anyway, in any case. I don't know, but I felt like he was ashamed of it, and that's a good sign, I guess. But anyway, so but again, you have to dig in things and all that, and So let's see if we can find this doctrine again. The name of the doctrine. But this Roman Catholic is again talking about Mary this and Mary that. I was just. I have another Danish another high-profile Roman Catholic that I talked to, and I've talked to like 3 times in total, like, over the time and all that, and she doesn't want to talk to me, but, she gave me links to Mary, and, I was talking about it because, of course, she didn't know who I was at that point, that I was not really into the, but that was one of the verifications of, and she was just she's totally into the Antichrist. And but anyway, I got kicked out of her group or her Facebook, but yeah, I'm in the, yeah. Well. But again, she at least, told me some truth again. She kept on in regards to the Mary thing. It's not like saying, yeah, we don't believe. As at least, there's some integrity of telling the truth sometimes. You get, where people are keeping, well, that's, yeah. So again, there's many levels that you can learn things. Okay, let's see. I don't know where the 1,000 years, maybe I've written 2,000. Doesn't find anything in regards of 1,000. Maybe måske, jødisk doctrine, jødisk. And might also be, the problem is you always need to, it probably is, I talked a lot or chatted a lot with this guy. I usually don't really, you don't realize how much you actually write when you write, and it just goes on and on and on and on, it seems. I should probably be finishing up because I need to buy some ribeyes before the Sabbath. I can't find it, but it's in regards to the 1,000-year reign on earth. And very early on, it was attacked in regards to this doctrine, and in regards of being anathemanized if you believed in a 1,000-year, kingdom on earth and so forward. So that's, the same thing with the Passover was attacked very quickly as well. So you see, the bad seeds were sown with the good seeds, as our master told us. So I was a little, in regards to the 1,000-year earthly reign, that they put in the category of, that's there are some things that it's like, that's. But they are, in this document, that's like 6 pages, they are talking about, talking against the Roman Catholic Church, and they're starting out. Let's see here. Here we have Roy Livesey again. And here we have Eric, but they don't say who Eric is. I would think that this Eric could be Eric Phelps, because Eric Phelps is one of the defenders, I guess, in regards of Alberto Rivera. And Eric Phelps have done a lot of research, but that's to say that he doesn't have some issues. For example, he was promoting, and I guess still believes in it, in regards to the flat earth. And I absolutely do not believe in the flat earth idea that has pretty much been used to miscredit Christians. So I don't believe in the flat earth. I absolutely think that's wrong. But that's actually in regards of something else that is very interesting, in regards of showing us that it actually points to that we might actually be in the center of the universe. At least there's some things, data from the scientists, from the satellites, that is very interesting. And as I understand it, the flat earth, but that these are Roman Catholics. You just have to be aware of that. So, and I think there's a lot of things that is wrong as well in regards of some of the experiments and all that. But talking with real scientists, talking about what they have found out in regards to these satellites, in regards of for example, clusters of what's it called? Instead, that we are in the middle, and you have clusters of galaxies, like in rings around the Earth, and we are in the middle of that. That's kind of amazing, I think, to find out. If we have clusters around us, around this place, why would that be? Another phenomenon they have found out is what they call the axis of evil. In regards of, again, the planet, and in regards of the axis, and something in regards of the universe where it seems like it's actually on the level of the Earth. So that's at least 2 things. They have documentaries about that, but just have to remember that these guys are Roman Catholics. So they have 3 documentaries, and I actually have one on Google Store. Just be aware that these are Roman Catholics, and in regards to the experiments, I think they are, because they're trying to prove that Earth is standing still, and but anyway, I think we could easily actually make an experiment to I don't know how to do it, but I think the theory of the idea, I think, is pretty solid. Let's see here. The principle. This is a principle from 2014. Now, this guy is a Roman Catholic, just be aware of that. But they made the principle, which is a short version, 1.5 hour about the subject, and then they have like a 4.5 hour version or something like that, where they go deeper into it. But again, some of the science experiments I think fails because the whole idea of the just already fails. I think the whole experiment in itself have failed. So in regards to, but then it might actually be you could actually make an experiment that actually could show if there is this that they anyway. Any case, and they have made a third documentary where they have interviews on the internet as well in regards of this, and I've been looking into that because I think there are some interesting things in regards of these clusters around the earth and all that. There's scientific, something that we observe that is verified, that, and in regards to the axis of evil that the scientists have named it, and now they apparently use other names to try to to hide the fact that there's in any case. I think that was a very, very, very interesting thing. But anyway. Again, you eat the meat and spit out the bones. Yep. So, that's pretty much it. Apparently, I have closely to read all the 6 pages of this, but it talks about Eric. Just for the record, neither Eric or anyone else that ordered the material has kept their word and paid for the cost of copying all the documentation and for cost of postage. Now to move on to the subject of the person of Alberto Rivera. And again, I don't know who this Eric is. It doesn't really give the full name of this Eric. I would think that maybe it could be Eric Phelps, but I don't know. I shall be very direct and blunt in this letter, as it is time to stop with endless discussion of side issues that are ignoring that the fact that Rivera was a wolf in sheep clothing. The question was he? Maybe it's actually the wolves in sheep clothing that is attacking him. The wolf pack. Anyway, goes on, that appeared as a minister of righteousness and deceived many that had left Romanism or were trying to witness to Roman Catholics. I don't know how was he deceiving them? Talking about Jesus Christ being the salvation? How was he deceiving the... Anyway, most of the people that received this email have requested and received my documentation on Rivera, and I don't know what that documentation is. I don't know where to get it, but anyway. And then it goes on to 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is also some of the information I got from the Roman Catholic in regards to this Danish website. And again, the other that he gave me was in regards of Gary Metz, and again, I find seemingly, if I look deeper into it, I probably will find more issues. And it is funny that, he says, Eric, you are wrong to say the burden is on Derek or myself to prove Rivera was a fraud. Oh, really? So why wouldn't it be on your burden to show that he's a fraud? And I don't know if this is Eric Phelps or something like that. But if you're saying someone is a fraud, wouldn't it be, the case of you to actually prove that this is the case? And it goes on over and over. Defenders of Rivera say that his accusers are attacking the man, but not his message. Therefore, Rivera is real. And that's something, you see a lot of people just attacking the character of Rivera instead of actually looking at the information, So, anyway. So I don't know where to, anyway, I have a little over a page to go through in regards of this. In total 6 pages, nearly 6 pages anyway. It's, that's not a full page, the last page, so So again, not making any solid conclusions, but I feel like it's actually going in the direction of verifying Alberto Rivera as true. But I do understand that, in regards to deceptions on a deception and a deception would be very, very deceptive. So I'm still looking into things and all that. And I would like to look into more information from Alberto Rivera, because the more material I look into from a person, the more bumps in the road that might come, or hiccups or something like that I will pick up on, like for example Walter Martin. But I haven't really, if you take Walter Martin and Alberto Rivera, Walter Martin is, I've had all these hiccups. I haven't really had the same experience with Alberto Rivera. So yeah. Anyway, let's see how much time I have to get down to. Yeah, I need to go if I need to get some ribeyes before they close, or before the sun goes down. Should be possible. It's not that far. Okay, have a good one, all of you, and Shabbat Shalom, all of you. It's closing for the Sabbath in Denmark, and also in Israel. Maybe they actually already. Sometimes the sun actually goes quicker in Israel because the earth is round and so forward. So they don't have so much variation in regards to the sunset as in Denmark and so forward. Sometimes actually, we flip from having long days to very short days here in Denmark and all that, because we are in the northern hemisphere. So that's pretty much it. Come on, stuck here. There we go. Ribeyes is probably the most important thing, to have a Sabbath ribeye. Love those. Ribeyes are just munchy. That's called fast food. 2 minutes on both sides. First you just open it, you salt it. You put it on the pan, on a hot pan, 2 minutes on one side, 2 minutes, or maybe 2.5. It depends on how thick it is. And you don't want to give it too much, because then you destroy the ribeyes, and that's very sad. You want to have some redness in the ribeyes. So around 2 minutes on both sides. Sometimes 2.5 minutes, but anyway. And just let it rest for a short while, and there you go. That's called, fast food. For the man. For the real man. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom. Have a good day of rest, all of you. The 7th day that God blessed and set apart and made holy at the very beginning of creation, nearly or around 6,000 years ago. And evolution is a pagan satanic lie. Get used to it, research it. It's not really, you shouldn't be afraid of researching it. The Bible is true in regards of the creation. That's pretty much it. Have a good one. Bye-bye. There we go.